afternoon, partly sunny. Most of us looking completely dry. Then into Friday, some isolated chances of some showers going to be possible from the St. Louis metropolitan area, looking at 20%. As you head your way a little bit further to the southwest, that's where those chances slightly look to increase. High of 80 degrees, dropping humidity. Into Saturday, going to be looking at a few isolated chances of showers once again, mostly dry across much of the region, high of 82 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
There's a lot to talk about today, St. Louis. Let's get the conversation started. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I saw in a couple of news articles yesterday that there's a big coalition of basically left-wing pro-abortion groups now coming out to focus on defeating Amendment 3. Now remember, this time Amendment 3, this is the good pro-life one, but we're not going to vote on that until November. We are going to be voting on 4 different constitutional amendment proposals in August. We've been covering that throughout the week, and we've got a little more details in just a moment. Hey, good morning. Happy Thursday. Man, it's Thursday already, which means that today's going to be last call for a Flashback Friday bump music request, so I'll give you the theme in just a little bit. Now, let's go back to those constitutional amendments. Our own Tim Jones, you can hear him every afternoon here on News Talk STL, former Speaker of the House, director of the Freedom Caucus of Missouri as well, wanted to get his take on those different issues. 2 of them, not a real big deal for those of us in the St. Louis area, but 2 of them, major decisions. And so I wanted to get Tim's take on them. And here's how here was his perspective on it. November, we're obviously going to be deciding Amendment 3, which is the crucial pro-life amendment that we have that, but we can talk about that later because that's later on. But we've got 4 decisions, particularly 2 really big decisions to make in August. And obviously we're buddies with the Freedom Caucus here in News Talk STL, at least on the morning show here. And they are led by their fearless leader, which would be Tim Jones, who joins us right now. So Tim, Amendment 1, not particularly controversial. Basically, are we going to extend that 1/10 of 1%, sales tax in order for, conservation and state parks and stuff like that? I have a policy of voting against every tax, but this one's not particularly controversial. From at least, is there anything from the Freedom Caucus perspective we need to know about, or is this just pretty much business as usual?
Yeah, Mike. Good morning. Good morning to you and Jerome. This is a periodic renewal of a current tax. Look, if you don't like sales taxes and you don't think that this is the proper scope of government, that government should not be funding this type of mechanism, then vote no. If you feel that this is a proper role of government and that you're a big fan of Missouri's conservation efforts, then vote yes. The Freedom Caucus, no particular position on this. It is a consumption-based tax. We prefer in the Freedom Caucus world consumption taxes, as you and Jerome have discussed, along with Susie many times. That is emblematic of the fair tax system, which has been something that conservatives have promoted throughout the generations.
Yeah, and this one, overwhelmingly, Missourians over the years have renewed this one, so I doubt we're even going to hear that much about this one. So let's talk about Amendment 2. Now, this one's interesting because I don't know that it affects us here. It looks like this is more targeted at the other side of the state over in Jackson County where Kansas City is. And so this is so narrow. This is the wonky get into the weeds stuff where people are going to show up, Tim, and they're going to look at the ballot and go, what the heck does that mean? And so essentially, if you are in a charter county, then the state constitution would be changed to say charter counties must elect an assessor. What brought this on, and why do we care?
Mike, I believe this is specifically relating to Jackson County. So you're technically not supposed to write special laws, but the legislature often writes special laws, right? And so in order to get around that, you describe the county at issue in a particular way. You do it by its designation, its population. So this is in reference to Jackson County. We have an elected assessor here in St. Louis County, in the county of St. Louis. So Jackson County has decided they would like to go that route as well. I think that's a good thing, have more elected accountable officials than appointed ones. It doesn't mean it's not necessarily partisan, right? Because we support many Republicans and conservatives supported an elected assessor in the county of St. Louis, knowing that it would be difficult to elect a Republican. We'd have a shot at it, but it would be difficult. We have not had one yet. It's the elected assessor here is Jake Zimmerman, who's running for county executive. Same, I would argue the argument is likely the same in Jackson County. You're not necessarily going to get a Republican there. It's possible, but you will then get someone who has to stand for election, who has to show that their work to the people is fair and appropriate and as low as possible across the board. And you're just holding an assessor more accountable versus a simple appointment system.
We're visiting with Tim Jones. Of course, you can hear him every afternoon here from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock with Chris Arps here as well. All right, let's talk about the big stuff here. Amendment, let's go with Amendment 4 here on this one. This is an amendment to change the amendment process. So there's always two things on this. There's what the change would actually be, which to me seems like you may disagree, Tim. Tell me if you do. But I think that this increase in the threshold to change the Constitution is really mild. I don't even think it's that big of an increase in the threshold, but at least it's a little more. And people need to understand this does not stop referendums from addressing laws or lack of laws or things. We're only talking about the state constitution here.
Correct. Mike, the big three this year are amendments 3, 4, and 5. Those amendments were placed on the ballot through the work, the sponsorship, the chairmanships, the advocacy of the members of the Missouri Freedom Caucus. There were plenty of conservative allies along the way. Don't want to take anything away from them, but these initiatives were championed because these are initiatives that, if passed, are going to do one of two things. They're either going to protect Missouri from leftist special interests, or they're going to promote Missouri. They're going to help grow Missouri into the future. So I am not going to apologize for my stances on these. Amendments 3, 4, and 5 need to be yes, yes, and yes. And yes, I do work currently. All of you know I do a lot of state government affairs work. I work for groups that are promoting these as well. Well, that's because I've stood for these things since the beginning of my political time in life. I campaigned on all of these items when I was running for state representative back in 2006. So we're talking 20 years of a very certain and known philosophy. And that's where I've stood. And that's where the Freedom Caucus stands as well. So yeah, let's put Amendment 3 aside for just a moment. Yeah. It's very important. Many would argue it is the most important because it protects life. And without life, you don't have any of these other debates. But that one will be on the November ballot. Mm-hmm. Yes. What's on in August? 4 and 5. You asked about Amendment 4. That is the Protect Missouri Constitution Amendment. Yes, it does increase the threshold in one aspect. It makes it harder to amend Missouri's Constitution, as it always should have been, right? I don't know where they came up with this idea. In fact, some people have done some research on this and learned that it was in the early 1800s that a group of progressive liberals in the city of St. Louis somehow got this into our Constitution. It was not there since the founding of Missouri in 1821. It popped up in kind of the progressive era of the early 1900s. And it was a way for liberals to put in mob rule into our Constitution. And most states do not have the ridiculously low threshold that we have. And so what has that made Missouri? It has made Missouri a massive target for special interests, leftist special interest, out-of-state leftist special interest, and even worse, foreign special interest. Mike, do you know that Missouri now ranks number 4 in the country of the amount of money that is flooded in here from out of state and out of country foreign leftist interest? We're now around $50 million of money that's been poured into here over the last 6 years, primarily on the Obamacare Medicaid expansion proposal that passed 5-6 years ago, and on the abortion on demand, gender affirming care ideology, bad Amendment 3 that ended up in our Constitution in 2024. $50 million. Why? Well, because it's easy, right? It's really easy right now for leftist special interests to target deep red Missourians and say, hey, we got it done here. We can get it done anywhere. This is what happened to Colorado in our lifetimes. Not that long ago, Colorado was a deep red state. They have an initiative petition process very similar to Missouri's. So Amendment 4 is going to change that. And only that, as you pointed out, it will not affect the statutory referendum process at all. If you are a special interest and you want to try to amend Missouri statutes, and Katie bar the door. You can try and do that all day long. What we're saying is our Constitution should not become a phone book of mob rule, fad of the day, leftist special interest ideology. But that's what's happened to it. We have Medicaid expansion in there. We have abortion on demand in there. We have gender affirming ideology in there. Why in the world would that stuff be in your Constitution? Well, because it's really easy for the leftists to put it in there. And so Amendment 4 would say that you will have a two-step process to amend our Constitution now. I think that's pretty fair. Two-step process, not a 30-step process, a two-step process. You have to pass the initiative with 50% plus one of the entire electorate, as it is now, but you also need a majority in all 8 of our congressional districts. It's got to be something that's popular for the entire state. And there are things that are really, really popular, right? We have seen 80% issues go into our Constitution over the last couple of decades, but they need to be stuff that's approved across the board. A Constitution should be really hard to amend. The U.S. Constitution is really hard to amend. Why is the Missouri Constitution so easy?
Okay, so does this just apply to the referendum petitions? Like, for instance, when the legislature puts an amendment on the ballot, will it be subject to the same thresholds as a petition-driven referendum?
No. Legislative referendums will still only need 50% plus one. And people say, well, that's not fair. And I go, yeah, it is, because that's called representative democracy. The legislature should have the same thresholds that they do for anything, right? Because they are the elected representatives. When a referendum, when a ballot proposal goes through the legislature, it is fully vetted by the people's representatives and senators for at least 5 months if it goes through in one session. There are a bazillion different eyeballs on that. It goes through the House. It goes through the Senate. It's subjected to public hearings. There's debate on the House floor. There's always extended debate on the Senate floor. And then only then does it go to the people for approval. So anything done by the legislature will maintain the same threshold. So you will petition your representatives or your senators if you want something to go through the legislative process. But if it's, quote, citizen-led, and that's a huge misnomer now, isn't it? I can't think of a single citizen-led ballot proposal that has been passed over the last several decades, because they've all been funded by very few special interest groups, as I said, largely outside the state of Missouri, and in several cases outside the country. George Soros has been amending our Constitution. Hans-Jörg Wyss, the Swiss billionaire, the Swiss version of George Soros, has been amending our Constitution. How do we know this? Because all you got to do is follow the money. And as I mentioned, over $50 million has poured into Missouri from outside our state, outside our country, to absolutely crush our Constitution over the last several years. So the Missouri Freedom Caucus led the battle on this, got it through in the special session last fall. It's on the ballot. It's Amendment 4. And if you want to protect Missouri's Constitution from any future attack, you need to vote yes on August 4th.
Okay, we're a little over time here real quick, but give me the Cliff Notes version, Amendment 5. This is the income tax repeal. And I think one of the things, and I talked to Ben Keithley and Nick Shore about this when we had our town hall meeting on this, is that the messaging is going to be very, very difficult on this, because we're talking about instructing the legislature to repeal the income tax over time. But the way that that's going to be done is not going to be defined in the Constitution. Basically, it's pass it so then we can pass legislation to make it happen under the direction of the Constitution. And that sounds a little wonky, because we are talking about very complex stuff.
Yeah, well, Amendment 5, Mike, provides the opportunity to axe the tax. That's how I can nutshell it down as simple as possible. It provides the opportunity to eliminate Missouri's income tax. Why do we have to go to the Constitution first? Well, because our tax code has been made into Swiss cheese over the last 50, 60 years. Do you know we have over 1,000 exemptions in our tax code? So the special interest, Mike, they've gotten all their tax relief, right? And the carve-outs, and then we have technology. There are things that aren't even subject to taxation that should be. Like, why does the mom and pop store have to pay taxes, but people can avoid that by going online? We have a screwed up, completely upside down system of taxation in our state. We have to eliminate the insidious tax on our labor, the tax on our paychecks, that's the income tax, and move to a consumption-based system. I heard a conversation that you and Jerome had maybe about a month ago. I was up in Jefferson City. I was listening to you on the app one morning, and Jerome got it. He said, hey, are you telling me that my income will not be taxed anymore, but I can decide what I'm going to pay taxes on because we're going to move to a consumption-based system? Exactly. You get to decide what you're going to pay tax on. And I think that's what most people want, is control over their lives in that way. So you have to go to the Constitution first to provide the framework for that and the mandate to the legislators. And here's the beauty of then the follow-up legislatively. If you need to make any changes or something's not working out quite the way you expected, because we're dealing with economics here and future projections, then the legislature can always be called into a special session, or they can, if it's not an emergency, they can fix our tax code then in future legislative terms. So this provides a lot of flexibility, but it puts us on that path to zero to eliminate the insidious income tax.
All right, once again, Tim and Chris every afternoon from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock right here on News Talk STL. Flashback Friday coming up tomorrow. Today's last call for the bump music request. And basically, Jerome set the theme, and I think one of you all suggested it, thank you, is that what were those songs that you just couldn't wait to see on MTV back in the day? You know, whether you just loved the song or you just loved the video, what was that MTV vibe that we were waiting for? And listen, my age, Susie's age, we know what that's talking about. I think we're going to have to kind of describe it to Jerome because it was a whole different thing. But go ahead and send those in, email them to Jerome, or just send us suggestions on social media right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for All Solutions Pest Control, the team Christine and I trust to protect our home. We've used multiple services at multiple homes over the years, and I can tell you from all that experience, All Solutions is second to none. If you have a pest problem of any kind, or more importantly, just want to prevent a problem, All Solutions is the team to call. Learn more and take advantage of their incredible $67 introductory offer right now at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Dr. Bob Onder, Congressman for Missouri's 3rd District.
This spacecraft will be descending at 9,000 miles per hour.
Wow.
And the friction with the air will hit 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. No, thank you. Hey, I'm claustrophobic. I don't even like to get in a scanner at the airport, much less this little space capsule for 9 days.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airways for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on News Talk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
People ask all the time, who the heck is low-cost airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, just face it. Face it. It's election season.
I like my denial. I want to live in denial, Mike.
Are we ever not in election season?
It really doesn't feel like we're ever
No.
get a break from this.
It's never not election season to some level. So for the political junkies, that's like a kid living in Disneyland. That's like, here's mom and dad's credit card, go wild, eat all the cotton candy and chili dogs that you want and ride all the rides and go to all the shows that you want. That's what election season is. And believe me, I know a lot of those people who just love the games. Not that they're not passionate about their issues and their causes. They are, but they love it. They want to make their living in this. But is it good for us, like country communities? Is it good that we are in a constant 12 months of the year election cycle?
Not necessarily. I mean, there is something to be said about being able to get a break from things from time to time. I do enjoy, if you look at politics like a reality TV show, it's a lot of fun, but at some points you got to tune out and you got to say, okay, look, guys, now just go do your job and let me forget about you for a bit.
You see, and that's the thing is it's that saying that says you may not take an interest in politics, but politics always takes an interest in you, which is 100% true. And I will go back because I want to frame it this way as often as possible. It also shows one of the problems when you have any level of government that is so big you can't escape it. And that should make us go, we've got to get government off of our backs and that sort of thing. So I because we've got some campaign stuff and midterm stuff and all that kind of thing. But the bigger picture here is politics should be something we engage in, make our decisions, elect the people that hopefully we trust to make the right decisions. If they don't do it, then we throw them out in the next election. And if they do a good job, okay, you can have another term on our payroll. But at this point, it is 12 months a year, every year, basically no break. Everything is about the upcoming elections, whatever that year is. And the world's going to end if we don't win the next election. And we're going to save the world and save America and save St. Louis if we win the next election. And the reality is that if we take our lumps this time, then we can win next time. And if we win this time, we might take our lumps next time, and we'll survive. It's the apocalyptic thing. We'll survive. We have survived bad presidents. We have survived bad governors. We will survive bad mayors. Now, things may be worse and more expensive, and there could be bad policy, but we can always fight to live another day. But that's the thing is, like, in doing this type of work, I'm supposed to be apocalyptic because that's good for like clicks and everything. But the reality is that these are really important. They affect our lives, but we will survive good and bad presidents, and good and bad governors. And what happens in City Hall is just important to your life. What happens in county government is just important in your life as what happens in Washington, D.C. It's just not as dramatic,
That was fun.
Yeah, true.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Duchenne High School, Moolah Yomo, and Mobile Magic Auto Body. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment and liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
We've been here 30 years, 30 Christmases in this house, and we have the traditions that most families have.
That's Terry talking about her experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We did Rhino Shield 14 years ago, and the house still looks the same as the first day. Rhino Shield really worked with me to help me get just the right nice soft yellow, and it's 14 years later, and it's the same color.
The main reason Terry called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by its 25-year transferable warranty.
It just sounded wonderful that we could have the house coated with Rhino Shield and not have to worry about it again for 25 years.
Take it from Terry. Give Rhino Shield a call now for a free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
There have been neighbors that have come by and said, "Did you just have your house painted?" Because they wanted to know who the contractor was. And I said, "No, it's actually Rhino Shield."
877-25rhino.com.
Democracy is loud, and on Tuesday, June 2nd, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate on June 2nd. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis & Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Fresh challenges this morning to the tenuous Iran ceasefire. Kuwait says it's been targeted by Iranian drone and missile strikes, and the U.S. hit military targets in southern Iran overnight.
U.S. forces carried out new strikes Wednesday on a military facility in Iran, what they describe as defensive action. They say it came after the downing of 4 Iranian attack drones that were posing a threat around the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. forces also struck an Iranian ground control station in Bandar Abbas that was about to launch a 5th drone. It all comes after President Trump expressed confidence the U.S. was making progress in talks to end the war.
It looks like they want to just make a deal. They want to. I don't think they have a choice.
Ben Thomas, Washington.
The Israeli military has stepped up its attacks on Iranian proxy Hezbollah in Lebanon. At least 14 people killed. An Israeli soldier was also killed in a Hezbollah drone attack in northern Israel. Swiss police say a man stabbed and wounded several people at a train station in the Swiss city of Windhoek before he was subdued and arrested. 2 people confirmed dead, 9 others missing following a chemical storage tank explosion at a paper mill in Longview, Washington. A search for the missing is underway, albeit with extreme caution.
Operational conditions, it still remains active and it's extremely hazardous in the recovery environment. Recovery operations will continue as the conditions safely allow.
Longview Fire Battalion Chief Matt Amos. Today's AAA national average for a gallon of regular gas, $4.42. It's down about 3 cents from yesterday's average. Watching Wall Street, stock futures are down this morning. The Dow futures off 102 points. NASDAQ futures 164 points in the red, and the S&P futures are down 23 points. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Hey, if your loved one is aging but still mobile, still values their independence, there's a simple tool that keeps them safe and keeps you in the know. I am proud to tell you about Safety Plus by Connected Caregiver. Safety Plus is a wearable device that alerts you immediately if your loved one has had a fall. They can wear it as a necklace, on their belt, but there's even a great watch option. There's even a simple push button on the device allowing mom or dad instant access to emergency services. As you age, it's not like you plan for a fall. Suddenly your knee might lock up. There's an uneven surface, wet floor. There's simply no excuse to not wear something discreet that keeps you safe and and can keep you at home longer. That's Safety Plus by Connected Caregiver. To see if you qualify for a free device, call 888-870-8020, 888-870-8020, or visit ccgoffer.com, ccgoffer.com. Again, 888-870-8020. With Connected Caregiver, peace of mind is...
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking afternoon highs back towards the upper 80s, so a little bit warmer this afternoon, partly sunny. Most of us looking completely dry. Then into Friday, some isolated chances of some showers going to be possible from the St. Louis metropolitan area, looking at 20%. As you head your way a little bit further to the southwest, that's where those chances slightly look to increase. High of 80 degrees, dropping humidity. Into Saturday, going to be looking at a few isolated chances of showers once again, mostly dry across much of the region. High of 82 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Business owners, download your free playbook for financial clarity at SerenityWealthBiz.com. That's SerenityWealthBiz.com.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend. That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. The house of mysterious death in Peebly, Missouri.
Larry Connors USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Boo! Relax, nerd.
Susie Moore.
And that would be a good time to respond with some applause.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, I'm just going to kind of start out by saying I'm looking over some of the social media stuff. It's going to be a weird day. I think like St. Louis is in like a mood.
I know I am.
just say. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
No.
I'm just saying it is.
No.
It is. You know, that's how it goes here. A quick thing, and this is not on the show sheet. I mentioned something to our boss Jeff yesterday, so I'm curious what people would think about this. So I'm just kind of going to float the idea here. You know, kind of the beginning of the show. Was it a year or two ago we did the Reagan movie screening?
Yes.
When did that come out? Was that about 2 years ago?
August of 2024.
Yeah, so a year and a half ago-ish, something like that. Well, there's a movie coming out in the theater on July 3rd, and it's being released to time with the 250th birthday of America. Young Washington.
Intriguing.
Have you seen the trailer to this?
I have not.
Okay, I saw the trailer, and I showed the trailer to Jeff. It's by Angel Studios, you know, the ones that do The Chosen and did what was the other one? They did a bunch of the Kurt Warner story and all those. And so same studio, and like it's got big names in it. I mean, it's got like Ben Kingsley, it's got Kelsey Grammer, it's got, you know, a bunch of people you would know in it. And it looks like it was a really high value production wise thing, but it's if it's coming from Angel, it's not going to be a rewriting left wing hit, but it's about Washington as a youngster and kind of how he developed into that. The trailer looks really good, and so I floated the idea. I'm like, Jeff, should we let's see where it's going to play and see if we want to try to do something like that? And you know, but July 4th weekend,
that's going to be
tough. Really hard because everybody's going to be either traveling or already drunk.
Yeah.
Just saying. So
there might be some fireworks going on.
Yeah. But if that is something you'd be interested in, send me some feedback. You know, that just to put it out there. But again, July 4th weekend. If it came out the week before, it might be easier. But it's coming out July 3rd. So that might be a little tough to do.
Yeah.
Just saying. And I'm not even sure if I'm going to be here on 4th of July weekend. But anyway, I'm curious what people would think.
Well, if I mean, maybe not for the premiere, but I can definitely see it being a good idea to get maybe
Like a
private,
party or something.
a private screening or something.
Yeah, something like that. So anyway, I thought it looked pretty good because it doesn't look like it's overtly political. It's history. It's just here's part of, and they've timed it clearly. They started producing because movies like this take years to make. And so they looked at the 250th and said, this is the date, and they've hit it. The movie's ready. So anyway, you may want to look up the trailer, Young Washington trailer. It looks really good. I mean, just really interesting. All right, 6:08 here. A few different things that are happening. Let's kind of run down real quick, just kind of get some of the newsy stuff out of the way. Missouri's new congressional map stays. It is going to be used in the midterm elections.
All right.
Because there was I think the last remaining legal challenge to it, in the courts, at least. It's not the last challenge, but this was the NAACP's lawsuit. Okay. And their basis was the governor didn't properly call the special session that passed it in the first place.
Okay.
Which is separate.
That was a
from
long shot.
Very long shot, and it got slam dunked down. It was a complete unanimous decision against him.
Okay, but can I throw out that we still have the little wrinkle in time issue?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
and you are going to be talking to the Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, about that later today.
That's correct. Denny Hoskins will be on the show at 8:05. But yes, please. The wrinkle in time thing.
The wrinkle in time thing is if they certify the petition, the referendum petition, it's going to be certified by the deadline, which is August 4th, which is the primary day. So if they certify it and it relates back to when it was filed, then we have an issue about where that leaves us.
Yeah. So, yes.
There is still that.
There will be more days in court.
There will be.
There will be. But as far as the actual lawsuits against it, this was the last remaining one that got slapped down by the courts. And so now it's going to be, okay, well, what happens if, and then, and et cetera. So, but that's the ruling. So the maps are the maps. That's the way that that's the way it is. And the last time, Denny.
It's the maps.
That's right.
Sorry, Dora.
Dora is going to say, no. My Amber was that age. I remember. I knew the song. The last time Denny was on, this is what he predicted was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it was. And honestly, I'd forgotten about the NAACP's lawsuit because not being a lawyer, it was so shoddy and such a long shot that even I went, really?
Yeah, it didn't really seem to have the steam behind it that some of the other ones might have.
Right.
So I'm not surprised at the ruling, but
yeah. All right, so that's where that is. 8:05 is when Denny Hoskins will be on the show. Let's see here. Also, yesterday there's a coalition being put together to oppose Amendment 3. So usual suspects, they did their kind of announcement on Zoom. I wasn't invited. Imagine that.
I can't imagine why.
So we're talking the usual suspects, Planned Parenthood, the left-wing extreme groups, and everything. And so they basically had this Zoom press conference to announce their coalition. Here's the thing. We can snicker at them all we want, but they're going to bring in tens of millions of dollars. The good guys here are going to get outspent again. We need to go into the fight knowing that we're going to be outspent again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this time, though, and Steve Rupp from Missouri Right to Life was talking about this at the banquet last week. He said the difference is that the pro-life side is framing the debate now.
Yes.
The pro-life side is not on defense. And when it comes to those voters in kind of that mushy middle thing, the ones who just kind of feel their way through it, they're not really ideological. I'm talking about your friend or your cousin or somebody who goes, well, I don't like abortion, but whatever. But
it's not my place to say what somebody else should do.
I
blah,
don't
blah,
think
blah,
the
blah, blah. It's
government
between them and their
should.
doctor.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And so those are the people we're messaging to. For everybody else, it's about just voter turnout and making sure that you show up in November. Right. But look for tens of millions of dollars to come in on this particular thing, opposing the good Amendment 3.
Well, like they were saying, if everybody that is in agreement with the good Amendment 3 and is pro-life gets 3-4 people to commit, okay, we're all going to the polls. We don't have to go together. We're all committing. We're going to do this. If everybody does that, we're good.
Yeah,
there will it should pass. You got to get people out there,
right? And the fact that this is on the November election obviously helps. The governor made it pretty clear that he wants this to be the only thing on the November election, which is why all the other stuff's in August. And honestly, my take and what I'm seeing on this, is that this coalition is going to talk a lot about the abortion side, and they already started. I read 2 articles on this, one from Missouri Net, one from the Missouri Independent. Follow them, a blue sky. They had basically somebody that they were portraying as a victim of the old laws. She had this medical condition. I was like, ectopic pregnancy. She goes, and my doctor said I had to go out of state to get it. Well, that's just not true. It's like demonstrably false.
Right. If your doctor told you had to go out of state to get treatment for an ectopic pregnancy,
Yeah,
your
or
doctor
a
needs to have their
complication.
license
Yeah.
removed.
Yeah.
That's not accurate.
Or she's lying.
Right.
So because I remember when that story hit the Springfield News Leader,
Mhm.
and I texted Nick Schroer, and I'm like, hey, what about this? He texted me the actual statute of law that says that's actually covered. So we're going to have a lot of lies. We're going to have a lot of money spent on this, but they're going to talk about that sort of thing with the abortion and try to mislead. But my guess is what they're really freaked out about is that the new Amendment 3 cracks down on the gender mutilation and ends the gender mutilation in Missouri.
So what they're really worried about is dollars.
Yeah.
Because that's their alternative money source. If they can't be performing abortions, then they've shifted to the gender transition stuff. And if they can't be, offering that to minors, that cuts into their revenue stream as well.
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. And I'm going to take the morality out of it.
Mm-hmm.
But to your point, and that's a really good point, Susie, is that the market for abortions and the money for it has changed.
Yes.
Because the majority of abortions are now the chemical ones where they just mail you a pill and you do like a self-induced kill your own kid kind of thing. And you don't have to go pay all the money for the surgical dismemberment
procedure, right.
and all that sort of thing, which in some states government was paying for it, and they were happy to funnel the money through. The gender mutilation issue creates a lifelong customer who has to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars over their life of their life in order to maintain the mutilation, because your body is constantly trying to heal, and these are wounds that are inflicted on the body. So they always have to have hormonal stuff because your body's trying to self-heal. And and then obviously I don't want to get too graphic, but they're trying to heal wounds as well. So that is guaranteed lifelong customers who must find a way to give thousands or tens of thousands of dollars a year for the rest of their life. There's huge money in that for places like Planned Parenthood and places like the St. Louis Children's Hospital and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's kind of a twisted way of looking at it, but that's the reality. It's Thursday, right?
It is.
I can't keep my days straight this week. But that means tomorrow is Flashback Friday, and that means we want you to send Jerome your request for Friday Flashback bump music. This week's theme is MTV hits, right?
Yeah, so those songs that when you were watching MTV, you were like, I really hope that's the next one they play. I want you to send me those.
I don't remember what year MTV came on.
81.
81, yeah. I was thinking, take yourself back to like the early, mid-'80s. What was that song? Because we were, well, you weren't, but we were there. And what were the songs you were waiting on? Because the video's starting to fade away. What's next? I really want to hear, or I really want to see what?
Yes.
Send them to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You want to give me more information?
Y'all have heard me talk about Window World before. That's because they're such a great company and it's such a great product. They're one of only 2 replacement windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they're ranked number 1 in the country for number of windows sold by Qualified Remodeler magazine. They've been doing this for over 20 years. They've been helping to improve the look and energy efficiency of more than 80,000 homes right here in St. Louis. And the St. Louis location has been owned, operated, and managed by born and raised St. Louisans for more than 23 years. So if you're thinking it might be time for replacement windows, new windows, you want to check them out, and you can call today for a free estimate at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS. What I like about Window World is the product itself. Their windows are durable, they're secure, they're energy efficient, and they're built with double-strength glass that you don't typically see in replacement windows. And you're covered with a lifetime warranty, which includes parts, glass, breakage, and labor. That's a pretty big deal. They don't just do windows either. Window World can also help with siding and doors, basically everything on the exterior of your home except a roof or garage door. And here's something a lot of companies don't offer. Their customer service team is available 7 days a week. Yes, that's right, even on weekends. Their commitment to customer service shows. Over half of their appointments come from repeat customers or referrals, which tells you a lot about it. They're also big in the community, raising over $4 million over the years for charities like Action for Autism and St. Jude. And they're the preferred window of your St. Louis Blues. Right now, they're offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. So if you're thinking it's time for new windows, and if you've been putting it off, now is the time to act. Call Window World at 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
Producer Joey V from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show here, reminding you, don't waste a buck on movies that suck. Tune in to Joey V's Movies Fridays at 5:45 for reviews you can trust. Brought to you by Harry J's Steakhouse in Moscow Mills.
Don't let spring surprises ruin your comfort. Johnson Heating and Cooling in Wentzville is offering air conditioner checkups for just $99. We'll check your Freon, inspect your condensate hose, and test all electrical connections. Plus, we'll clean your system for no additional charge if you act before June 30th. Keep your home running smoothly this season. Visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com. That's johnson-heatingandcooling.com. Johnson Heating and Cooling. Your comfort, our priority.
Life's legal challenges deserve experienced representation. For over 15 years, Cole Combs Attorney at Law has been serving St. Charles and surrounding counties with comprehensive legal expertise. From tax preparation and estate planning to family law and criminal defense, Cole delivers personalized solutions for your unique situation. You have traffic tickets, need a business formation, real estate matters, one call will handle it all. Cole O. Combs Attorney at Law. Call 636-949-0010 extension 3 today or visit colecombs-law.com.
Hey, this is Chris Arps. If you enjoy a good cigar like I do, check out Dorset Cigar at 11396 Dorset Road in Maryland Heights. They'll help you find the perfect smoke, and they have a fantastic premium selection. Mention promo code NewsTalkSTL for 7% off. Visit DorsetCigar.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
That sounds like the Immigrant Song.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
it's Rob Zombie, but it's
okay.
yeah.
It's got that like same beat.
Yep.
It's White Zombie. This
White
is before
Zombie,
he left the band.
Yeah, that's right. So it was Rob Zombie's band White Zombie.
Yeah, it's got
right,
that same beat to it.
Well, listen, I like Rob Zombie.
Uh-huh.
But a lot of his songs kind of sound the same. You know, the same kind of beats and the same kind of.
This is the first time I've heard this one, but I was like, are we going to hear the little
You've never heard Thunder Kissin'?
I have not.
Thunder Kiss was it 1965, yeah. And because this was pretty big when I was in college. Like, this would have been early 90s, I think.
Yeah,
something like
Yeah,
that.
I was in law school, had my notes buried in the books.
No, yeah. So, yeah, no, I think this may have been the first Zombie song that I heard. I was like, oh, this is different. I like this. Because I was still kind of smarting from all of my hair metal bands were suddenly the subject of all kinds of mockery.
Aww.
You know, all of a sudden, everybody who loved them 5 minutes before hated them now.
Fickle fandom.
Because they were just sellouts and they need the real stuff that's not corporate, you know, like like Foo Fighters.
Okay.
Well, Foo Fighters weren't even really around yet, but Nirvana.
Was, yeah.
And Pearl Jam and Soul Asylum. Actually, I like Soul Asylum. You know, Gin Blossoms. I like them too. So
Smile Empty Soul.
Yes, Collective Soul's good.
And Collective Soul.
I like Collective Soul.
Saw them in concert twice.
I bet they were pretty good.
They were.
A lot of soul in the 90s.
Yeah, a lot of it.
So, sorry for the detour.
A little bit. We're getting ready for Flashback Friday. We're just
I'm just gearing up.
Okay, so here's the deal. Believe me, we've got all the important stuff and heavy stuff, and we're going to deal with it. We're going to get through it. But I am so tired of the news cycle and the national media and the politicians and the activists telling me that I'm supposed to live in constant angst because there's a lot of big stuff going on.
Yeah.
I've made up my mind I'm not going to do it.
It's exhausting.
Yeah, I'm not going to allow them to exhaust me. We're going to deal with the important stuff. Like I said, we got it here in the show. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just made up my mind I'm not going to live that way.
Amen.
Just saying. Okay, but let's talk about one of the big things. We're now at the point Charlie Kirk was murdered
September 10th.
September. Okay. So we're not even a year into this, but we're now far enough away from this that we're seeing resolutions to some of the consequences that happened at the time. I'm talking about people who posted disgusting, stupid things, ended up getting fired, getting canceled for it. Mm-hmm. So now you're seeing results of some of the lawsuits. Like, for instance, The Hill has an article pointing out a few of those. A woman who worked at Ball State University, which is in Indiana. She's getting a payout, a settlement of over $200,000, $225,000, because she was fired after posting basically an anti-Charlie Kirk statement on social media. Okay. And she was fired from Ball State University, which is a public university. Mm-hmm. It's not a private university. And by comparison, it wasn't the worst out there, but it was still pretty gross, you know. Essentially ending with, if you think Charlie Kirk was a good person, we can't be friends. Well, you know, he was, you know, literally killed moments before, hours before, right? You know, that sort of thing. And Ball State University, once this went viral, because, you know, you have like libs of TikTok and all the others who find out who said this, where they work, and they put them up. And Ball State University got all kinds of flack. She worked in what did she work in? She was the director of health promotion and advocacy. And she posted her anti-Charlie Kirk thing after he was assassinated. And phone calls came in, emails came in, donors were contacting the university saying, I'm done if this is the kind of people that you have here.
Right.
And she was fired. The university says she was fired for that social media post, which was on her personal Facebook, I think it was. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter what platform, it was on her personal account. So she sued with the ACLU saying, you violated my free speech rights. And they have settled with her, and she's getting a couple $100,000.
Yeah, and it's a public university,
yeah.
that sort of
thing. Which is an important distinction.
It is. It's hard because it's, you know, on the one hand, first of all, I'm a big fan of the First Amendment and free speech, even when it's speech that I find detestable. But you also have to question, okay, at what point does an employer have the right to say, look, you're not representative of who we want working for us. We don't, you know, you're free to say what you want to say, but we don't want that to be the face of our company or our university.
Okay, so is this where we split hairs a little bit? Nobody stopped her from saying what she wants to say, but there are possible real-world consequences for what you say. But if government sends out the word, you say something we don't like, you're going to get fired. Is that a free speech infringement, even if what you say is absolutely disgusting and proves to the world that you're a lousy person?
I mean, I think you have to take it in steps. I think you have to say, let's take it out of the government realm for a second and say, can a private employer say, hey, you know, Mrs. So-and-so, we don't really like what you said here. Well, I think everyone would agree. Yeah. I mean, maybe you don't like that they would do that, but you would agree that they would have the right to do that because employers should have the right to hire and fire who they want working for their company. Then the question becomes, okay, if the employer is a government entity of some sort, if it's, you know, a public university, which kind of weird when you think about the fact that they're government entities, but that's a whole different issue. But anything like that, is there some additional limitation in terms of where they can draw the line? Because, like you said, they're catching flack for it too. They're potentially losing.
It's affecting them.
It's affecting them financially. So where does that line get drawn? And I don't know that I know the answer. I've studied First Amendment law, but I'm sure there are several cases that are pretty close to on point here. I just haven't looked them up. So I don't know. I mean, obviously this is a settlement. You know, this isn't a case that was litigated all the way up to the Supreme Court. So there was a definitive. And so basically it's you're weighing the pros and cons, the costs and benefits of proceeding with a lawsuit and taking it to a jury and seeing what they're going to do with it. So it doesn't set precedent legally. It's basically a cost benefit analysis.
Yeah, you should be able to express your First Amendment rights, but at the same time, I'm just so tired of hypocrites. I'm just tired. so you can say we can't be friends if you think Charlie Kirk's a good person. Well, what if the employer thinks Charlie Kirk's a good person? You can't be. Well, then what if you can't be an employee because you think he's a bad person?
We can't be friends either.
These are the same types of people that back during, from 2016 onwards, were sitting here saying, free speech doesn't mean freedom from consequence, and they were all about cancel culture, and they were all about finding people for like years old posts. Sometimes, I mean, Kevin Hart got booted from hosting some big event because of a post that he had made like 5 or 6 years before. That was never a big deal, but these are the same people that do that when they have power, and then when they don't have power, then they act like they never had those values to begin with, and I'm tired of it.
Right, and so we saw this all over the place, and it was the free speech argument, and I, for instance, in this particular case here, and I'm going to just, when I'm talking about is expressing a gross, disgusting opinion. I'm not talking about people who advocated for great, who's next, go advocate violence against other people like that. I'm talking about people who just reacted with joy or approval or whatever.
Something that would not reflect well upon them for people looking at that who.
Yeah. So there's that. And then there's also, for instance, you had the, high school teachers that if you go through the archives of like libs of TikTok and some of the others, who were openly celebrating, and we see this on their Instagrams and their TikToks and all this sort of thing. And the question then becomes, okay, yeah, you've got a First Amendment right, but does a community have a right to go, you're not the quality or character of person who should be around children and influencing them? And where is that line?
Right.
Well, case in point, somebody I know that's my age that became I don't know if they're a substitute or full-time teacher, but they considered the no longer offering hormones and treatments to children as a trans genocide.
Yeah.
And we're all about, we need to protect trans kids from this horrible thing. And then when Charlie Kirk died, and I was upset about it because I was somebody that grew up on Charlie Kirk, and I had gotten some calls from people that were worried about something like that happening to other conservative media people.
Oh, yeah.
It was a legitimate, people don't realize, but it was a legitimate concern for her a little bit after that. And when she said to me was, well, maybe if you're that concerned about somebody, doing that to you, you should reconsider what you're saying and who you are as a person. So you're a champion for one cause. When it's you, it's the end of the world. We need to resist. We need to fight. But then, and I I wasn't going around sharing clips of Charlie Kirk and everybody like beforehand. But that is what we're dealing with here. And so yes, I want to be somebody that you can disagree with me and you can have your opinions and you can.
No, you can't.
Well, what I'm saying is I want to be that kind of person, but at the same time, if I'm so tired of the hypocrisy of all of it. If they didn't have double standards, they would have no standards.
I absolutely agree on that. The hypocrisy is off the charts, and it's just sickening. And I'm still stuck on where legally, because of course my brain goes to the legal realm, where that line needs to and will be drawn, because, there are repercussions. Like you said, it was affecting the bottom line for the university. At what point do they get to say, look, this is not good for us and we don't want you as our employee anymore?
Let me put it another way, just from the freedom perspective, where is the line between you're free to say it, but there are consequences, and also that line that says the point of the First Amendment is to allow all kinds of opinions, even if the ones that are grotesque and macabre.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly right. That's the age-old debate, and I don't know that there's any clear answer. I think people have maybe a different place where they draw the line depending on the topic. So it does. I don't know that there's an easy answer to it.
Yeah, because I struggle with it because these people are gross, and I don't want my tax dollars paying for them, especially in the public schools. I'm also basically a First Amendment absolutist. And I think I am a First Amendment absolutist, but I don't think the First Amendment covers everything.
Same, but what I'm struggling with isn't that. It's, does the employer have the right to say, look, we don't want to associate with this. We don't want to associate with you. We don't want you representing us.
That's the consequences part.
I know.
By the way, if you want to give a birthday shout out to anybody, who just turning 54 today.
Who?
The busiest man in Washington, D.C., whose name is not Donald Trump.
Who?
Marco Rubio.
Today is his birthday?
Today is his birthday.
Wow.
He's 54. He's now as old as me.
Little Marco.
He's busier than me.
He's come a long way.
If anybody's got a Marco Rubio meme of him finding out it's his birthday today, please send it to me.
I wish I'd known. I could have worn my Marco shirt.
Yeah, just one last thing, because this is actually a good point, too. These types of people, remember when silence is violence, but somehow now literal violence is not violence?
Right.
Isn't that interesting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Jay Monty pointed that out. That's a good, absolutely.
In other news, a little bit brighter news, the America 250th celebration picks the music guests for this year's national celebration. we're going to tell you who's going to be there to sing, dance, maybe lip sync.
Yeah.
Is Billy and Vanilli going to be there?
I have questions. I have questions.
Oh, I'm
about
looking,
this.
I'm looking forward to this coming up here at 6:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself, unless you suck.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking afternoon highs back towards the upper 80s, so a little bit warmer this afternoon, partly sunny. Most of us looking completely dry. Then into Friday, some isolated chances of some showers going to be possible from the St. Louis metropolitan area, looking at 20%. As you head your way a little bit further to the southwest, that's where those chances slightly look to increase. High of 80 degrees, dropping humidity. Into Saturday, going to be looking at a few isolated chances of showers once again, mostly dry across much of the region, high of 82 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
Something big is happening in St. Louis County, and you're invited.
Join us for the grand reopening of the St. Louis County Central Committee's brand new headquarters, and it's an open house you don't want to miss.
Stop by Wednesday, June 3rd at 794 Gravois Bluffs for light appetizers, beverage, and a chance to meet your Central Committee members. Plus, Chris and I will be there live.
Join Tim and me and tour the new headquarters. That's Wednesday, June 3rd, 794 Gravois Bluffs.
Looking for a great place to play golf and host your next event? Sugar Creek Golf Course in High Ridge is more than just exceptional golf. Our clubhouse is the perfect spot for private parties, family get-togethers, and unforgettable celebrations. Make your special day even better with our welcoming atmosphere and outstanding service. Visit sugarcreekgolfcourse.com for more information. That's sugarcreekgolfcourse.com, where great golf and great memories meet. sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Tired of settling for generic fishing gear? Say hello to Bullseye Bait and Tackle, O'Fallon's one-stop shop for serious anglers. Live bait, premium tackle, rods, reels, and an unbeatable selection of lures from top brands like Megabass, Zoom, and Berkley. Whether you're after bass, catfish, crappie, or bluegill, they've got the gear to help you land the big one. Plus, their expert team, led by Mark and Liz, provides rod and reel repair services. Bullseye Bait and Tackle, 266 Fort Zumwalt Square, or at bullseyebaitantackle.net.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I was alive when this was a hit. I was in high school when this was a hit.
Well, I mean, speaking of lip syncing.
Yeah, see, because you made that like, that sort of like a throwaway comment, and then we got to the information segment. I'm like, no, that's right.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
girl, you know it's true. Jerome, you know it's true.
Wow. That was just because my mind's in Flashback Friday mode right now. So
yes.
I'm surprised I got that one right.
Okay, we all are. Okay, so here's what's going on.
Ooh, I love you.
The America 250 Freedom 250 celebration.
Yep.
Going to be massive in Washington, D.C. So they announced the music lineup, and they're basically calling it the Great American Fair. So take your state fair, which, I mean, come on, we all grew up with, like, you waited with bated breath to find out who was going to be playing at the state fair. Missouri side, Illinois side. Illinois side, back in the day, basically every year, REO Speedwagon was there, no matter how big they were at the time, because they always came back to the Illinois State Fair. Missouri State Fair generally used to do all country, and then over the past 10, 12 years, they're like, yeah, we need to start putting in some rock. They started diversifying a little bit, and so they announced the musical lineup. You're looking. I just handed it to you.
Oh no, I saw it yesterday.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so and some of these I could totally get. I mean, because you want a variety of music styles to represent
It's a variety,
everybody.
but I feel like the people that reached out to these musical
Yeah.
acts are late Gen X, early millennial.
Yeah. Okay, so let's look at
There's very kind of narrow window of like time frame.
I'm going to go just over the course of kind of in order. So they're going to start with Martina McBride.
All right.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. You know, I
She's
mean,
got some iconic songs.
right.
Yeah,
And
totally get
massive,
that.
including the Independence Day song.
Yes,
Which is
exactly.
actually not, I mean, it's actually about domestic violence, but
It is, but it's still a great.
It's still
it's
a great
song.
hook. And I think Hannity uses that.
Oh, yes,
hook,
he
you know.
does. Yes.
Do people still listen? People, I guess, still. There are people still listen to.
Guess so.
Yeah.
I guess he's
He's still out there, but that's and she's got other songs that are.
Mm-hmm.
I get that. Martina McBride's massive, iconic country music star. Totally, I'd go to that show.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a country music guy, but I'd go to that show. And then how about? I didn't even know they were still around. CNC Music Factory.
Yeah. Again, I'm like going back to like the late '80s.
Yeah,
like
that was high school.
This was college.
Yeah.
For
Well, for
some of
me,
us
high school was like
old
late
folks.
'80s. Yeah.
He's just.
I'm what 5 years behind you or something like that.
No, 3.
3 years behind you. 3 years behind. Yeah. So we
don't make me 60
we
before
were
my time.
we were 3. You were a junior when I was a freshman.
Or senior.
Or
probably.
senior, maybe a
Yeah.
senior, yeah. But yeah, CNC Music Factory. Gonna make you sweat.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea they were still around.
Mm-hmm. Nor did I.
Yeah. And okay, then
Milli Vanilli.
Milli Vanilli.
Which they aren't still around, so I can't
No.
figure it out.
Well, first of all, one of them's
One
dead.
of them's gone, for
He's-
sure.
He's dead. And then the other guy, the other one with the braids, who didn't sing. So who's performing?
Millie.
Well, or is it Vanilli?
Well,
I don't know if it's
but-
Millie or if it's Vanilli.
But then they've got Vanilla Ice next, so maybe they're going to do like
Right.
a combo Millie Vanilla Ice.
Or maybe it's the actual singers from the album that are going to finally get their shot in the spotlight.
Oh, look at that twist.
But that was actually that was actually exposed later because they won a freaking Grammy.
Yeah.
And they had to give it back.
Yep.
And the thing is, Jerome, it's a laugh line now. At the time, this was a massive scandal. I mean, because people actually took the award shows really seriously.
Yeah, they were a bigger deal.
They
back
were a
then.
huge deal back then. But I mean, first of all, you could probably get most any artist of any genre you would want for something like this. Now, I saw a report that said Young MC was going to be there, and then on is he on there? Because I saw a social media post on his account, or that was attributed to his account, that's saying, I'm not doing it. I'm not, because it was like a anti, I don't want to get in the politics of it thing. So I don't know if he's going to be there or not.
You would think that they would have that nailed down
You would
making
think.
the announcement or before, yeah.
Yeah, and by the way, I'll put the question out there: who should they be inviting here as well?
So I don't have the list in front of me right now, but is Tom McDonald part of the guests that are featured?
No.
Wow.
No.
No
But this
Tom
is,
McDonald.
I don't think this is necessarily an exhaustive list. I think this is
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
preliminary, like.
These are like the headliners,
Right.
So each of these performances might have other people, but these are like the headliners.
I would be shocked if there aren't going to be a bunch more people that are part of the festivities.
Tom McDonald definitely should have been a headliner.
He's not on the list.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, even like Vanilla Ice, I mean, he had his like moment, and he had the moment for a while, and then, but I was like, really, of all the people out there, that's
I gambled next to him in Vegas on my 40th
Did you
birthday.
really?
Yeah, he was standing next to me.
Did
at
he
the
have
craps
like
table.
the weird haircut and everything, or was he in
don't-
his was he in his grungy period?
Well, this was my 40th birthday, so it was 2008. So he was.
Oh, he was well past
that. Yeah. No, I mean, he looked pretty normal, but you could tell it was him.
Yeah. The Commodores, thumbs up.
I saw them at Six Flags.
Oh, I bet that was awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great choice. That's love it.
I don't know who that is.
Oh,
you do though. You do though. Look up the
yeah.
Commodores and their songs. You will know immediately.
This was the band Lionel Richie was in before he went solo. Commodores has so many.
You might not know who Lionel Richie is.
Oh God.
Well, I know whose name that is. I just don't know.
It's Nicole Richie's dad.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah. But
yeah,
no,
Commodores, you will know their songs.
Great choice.
Mhm.
That's I had no argument here. Morris Day in the Time.
Also
totally,
fun.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Drop the bomb on me. And so.
Oh no,
yeah.
that's the Gap Band.
Oh, Gap Band. I'm sorry. Morris Day in the Time. Yeah. That's what was the other one? Their big one.
OEO.
Yeah, that's it. But no, that was great because you got to have some like classic like
Yeah.
R&B, the good R&B stuff out there.
Yep.
Flo Rida, I know.
Hey, I know Flo Rida.
Yeah, so Flo Rida, I'm like, okay, whatever.
It's a little more 2000s.
Yeah. And Bret Michaels, obviously from my era, from
Every
Poison.
Rose has its sword.
Yes.
Okay.
Poison. I get there, but I'm like, there are some names on here I am surprised there are some names not on here that I'm surprised were not part of this like initial announcement.
Lee Greenwood.
Lee Greenwood is one.
Kid Rock.
That's another one. John Rich would be another one.
Yep.
I'm surprised that
Which
those
is
three are
why
not
I
on
think this is not an exhaustive list.
Yeah.
I think this is like one asset. I mean, this is going to be a massive celebration. There's going to be multiple stages and multiple
hundreds of thousands of people.
Okay, Kid Rock not being a headliner though that's just bizarre given the fact that he's even more politically relevant now than probably at any
But what
other
I'm
period of
saying
his
is,
career.
I don't know that this means that he isn't going to have a prominent role in some of the festivities. It just means that he's not going to be like on this particular thing.
Well, okay.
Somebody just mentioned Ted Nugent too.
Oh yeah,
Nugent, I
yeah.
could see that. Yeah.
Well,
I think he will be there. I think there will people like that will be featured.
My disgruntlement is not because he might not be involved. It's the fact that if these are the names that you're teasing to get all this interest, Lionel Richie or the Commodores or whoever that was listed is not somebody that's going to speak to a lot of people that are probably
Commodores. No, that's
that are younger.
Well, not to younger
that are
but-
under like 55.
No, well, I would say Commodores were still popular in the 80s, but Commodores are just such an iconic soundtrack. I mean, and you do want a variety there, but you do want some younger artists, you do want some older artists, but Commodores would, I'm totally on board.
To the point I was making earlier, this speaks to our generation and a little bit below us, with the possible exception of like Flo Rida.
Yeah.
What does Flo Rida have to like? He's not even like known for political patriotic anything.
Well, I don't think this is supposed to just be patriotic.
Okay. See, that's what brings up my next point is that if it hasn't already, somebody's going to try to politicize all this and make this out to be the Trump party. It's America's 250th.
Right.
Featuring Flo Rida.
It shouldn't
not
matter.
Kid Rock.
Yeah, I don't know a thing about Flo Rida.
I think you're taking this like very much like these are the only people that are going to be performing.
I'm specifically telling you I'm not doing that. It's just bizarre to have Flo Rida be one of the big. He's not been relevant since I was in middle school.
I couldn't even tell you. I couldn't tell you a Flo Rida song. I have no idea.
Tom McDonald, who is an independent rapper, who is culturally still more relevant and would have more thematic. Kid Rock, even though I don't know too much about him personally with his music, because he does like all the music in the world, but he would be more of a draw, I would imagine. So I guess this is for people that were like alive when the country was founded, or is that who they're trying to draw in here now?
Watch it, Sonny. No, the reason I'm pushing back on this is because I think this is like a preliminary list of one specific aspect of the celebration. I don't think this is exclusive. I think there's going to be names like Tom McDonald, Kid Rock, people like that are going to be associated with these celebrations, just maybe not this particular part of it.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, this seems like heavier on the rap side more than I thought it would be.
Yeah, or at least the R&B.
Yeah, well, and hey, R&B, real R&B.
Right, but you're not seeing really rock.
No,
you're not seeing a whole lot of country. You see Martina McBride. That's really it.
I mean, on the rock, all you've got is Bret Michaels.
Yeah,
that's it.
And all you've got for country is Martina McBride.
Yeah.
Scooter wants to know, is Bad Bunny on the list?
I'm gonna guess no. I'm just gonna go out on a limb here and guess that ain't happening.
No, all right.
I was gonna make a bad joke.
Oh, you still have time.
No, I'm gonna pass.
Okay,
I'm not gonna do it.
But that's curious. Who else would you want to see? Send me that. Yeah. Let's see here. Jay Monty mentions Travis Tritt because I would think that country music would be.
Again, I just feel like this is one discrete part of it. I think there's gonna be a lot more people.
Because it's basically about a week and a half, 2 weeks long, is what you're looking at.
Kathleen says, say no to Flo, and I agree, Kathleen. Get Flo right out of there.
On a different note, one of St. Louis's best-known charities needs extra support right now, and we're going to tell you who and how you can help at 6:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
My opinion is it's weird.
On News Talk STL.
one of the best things you can do right now, just financially, because there's a lot of changes in the housing market, is how about invest in your home? What's going to really drive up that value, that curb appeal, and that pride of home ownership is doing those unique things that solidify the outside of your home. I'm talking about your deck. I'm talking about that beautiful fence. I'm talking about all of those things that make the statement about your home and your property. That's why you got to talk to my friends at STL Fence Works. Mike Ferguson here for STL Fence Works, where they can help you transform your home into that safe, that stylish retreat. And they are talking about using those lasting values, premium, low maintenance fences and decks. We're talking American-made materials. We're talking about American crews. We're talking about professionals who will come in and build that deck with the composite materials, that fence with the composite materials, low headache. You don't have to get out there and sand it and stain it every single year. Do it one time and do it right. You want to make that leisure space. You want to do that gate, the access systems. They can do it all. Learn more at stlfenceworks.com. And what they can do for your home, you will be shocked at the improvement and just that pride of ownership. stlfenceworks.com.
Ever feel like just a number in a waiting room? Hi, I'm Shannon Tribune, Director of Operations with Body of Health Direct Primary Care. Navigating the medical system can be a maze of stress. I'm your personal guide at Body of Health. I handle the messy parts of medical care, the logistics and complex coordination, both in and outside our walls, so you and Dr. Tobler, that's my dad, can focus on what matters most, your health. At Body of Health, you're not just a patient, you're part of the family, because that's healthcare the way it ought to be. To learn more, schedule a discovery call at bodyofhealth.com.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, your financial friend with Serenity Wealth Management, joining us this Sunday right here on News Talk STL for the Serenity Wealth Now show. We've got my friend Joel Hauser. We're going to come in, spend some time talking about protection strategies to protect your income, to protect your assets, and more importantly, the lifestyle you deserve. So tune in right here Sunday morning, 9 a.m. for the Serenity Wealth show, airing right here on News Talk STL or on your Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets. We'll see you then.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC.
State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL. Hear all the behind-the-scenes stories about what the State Freedom Caucus is doing across the country, directly from the legislators and the people that are doing it. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, this Sunday night at 7 with your host, Tim Jones. State Freedom Caucus Unfiltered, now Sunday nights at 7 on News Talk STL.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Have you cried yourself to sleep? Have you felt this incomplete?
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, is this the worst ceasefire ever? I don't know. It's not very ceasefire-y. I mean, missiles are flying all over the place.
It's a very tenuous one.
Yeah,
let's say that.
I'm told you they missed a comma. It's cease fire.
Punctuation matters.
Yes.
All right, the new Missouri map stays. Republicans get another win in court. Details coming your way. And the Cardinals hope to reset after they got swept by Milwaukee.
Eesh.
Ouch. Yep.
Wow.
And this loss last night or yesterday afternoon was particularly painful. I'll tell you why. 6:51 right now. Let's go ahead and get going with a news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Whistle Pig Outdoors.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
U.S. military forces shot down at least 4 Iranian drones, and a ground control station on Wednesday was blown up. The Iranian vessels are believed to have been a threat to traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, and I haven't seen, Susie, whether they were specifically saying commercial traffic or military traffic. I have a feeling it's probably all of the above is
Probably
what they were
in all,
responding
yeah.
to. Yeah, and then, of course, right before that happened, President Trump holding his cabinet meeting, and the president said that Iran is currently, his words, negotiating on fumes after the Iranian military has taken so many beatings. Here's what he had to say.
It looks like they want to just make a deal. They want to. They have, I don't think they have a choice. They're just going back to the internet because they're getting clobbered. Their economy is in free fall. They have 250% inflation. Their money has no value. Their whole economic system is broken down.
And obviously, Iran is still talking pretty tough online and in diplomatic circles.
Yes.
All right. A key part of the battle over the new congressional districts in Missouri is over. No, I'm just saying this is the key part. And this was kind of one of the last, if not the last standing lawsuit in this. The Missouri Supreme Court on Wednesday ruled against the NAACP, which had challenged the legality of the special session that resulted in the new map being passed last September. So let's just take this step by step real quick. Is that were they directly challenging the map, saying the map is bad or the map is wrong or the map is illegal? Not really. They were arguing that the governor did not appropriately and legally call the session in the first place, and therefore anything they did would have been null and void. That's what they were arguing.
So it was a creative argument. It did not fly.
Yeah, and it was unanimous decision on this. The new map gerrymanders an additional seat in the U.S. House for Republicans by splitting up the Democratic-heavy 5th District in the Kansas City area. Opponents of the new map are hoping voters will essentially veto the new map with a referendum that could be and will likely be put on the November ballot. We're going to talk to Secretary of State Denny Hoskins about that at 8:05. Okay, Missouri is not going to suspend the state's gas tax.
Okay.
Yep. That's the word from Governor Keough's office. Some state lawmakers have asked for a special session to pause that collection of the tax.
Bad idea.
I agree. Which is assessed per gallon and is used to fund road construction and road maintenance. 3 other states have either suspended or lowered it. President Trump has floated the idea nationally. I agree with you. As much as it stings for the gas prices, and with the new hostilities, the prices could go back up a little bit in the coming week or so. It's just bad policy.
I did see $3.89 coming in this morning.
I did not see that. I saw $3.99, but I didn't see
$3.89 at both of the gas
$3.89.
stations on Dorset.
Yeah, and I saw $4.29 in South City last night as
Mm.
well. That was at the Quick Trip there off of Lee May Ferry.
Which reminds me, I need to stop and get gas on the way home.
Yeah, exactly. All right, a House Republican introduces an amendment, as in a constitutional amendment, that judges and members of Congress can only be natural-born citizens. Here's the report from Bernie Bennett out of Washington.
South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace proposes a constitutional amendment prohibiting naturalized citizens from serving in Congress, becoming federal judges, or holding Senate-confirmed positions. In a Wednesday statement shared on X, Mace said she introduced a long-overdue joint resolution for the constitutional amendment, noting, quote, "This is the very same standard the president and vice president are required to meet." Mace, who's running for governor in South Carolina, suggests that U.S. officials born in other countries could have split loyalties. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
Okay, I got mixed feelings on that because if you go through the work and become a U.S. citizen, some of the most patriotic people I know are naturalized citizens who really wanted it.
Yeah, I do too.
But I get the argument.
I know. I mean, obviously, we have that stipulation for the presidency.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm good with keeping that. Expanding that, I understand what's fueling this. I understand. I'm like emotionally on some level, it's like, oh, I kind of agree with you. But I agree with you, Mike. I don't think we want to set that bar, and I think that if someone goes through the process of becoming a naturalized citizen, then they shouldn't be prohibited from holding office. And then you deal with the consequences. And sometimes it's going to mean somebody maybe doesn't rule the way you want to or doesn't govern the way you want to. But that's true whether they were born here or became a naturalized citizen. That's my take on it.
Entirely disagree. I think Nancy Mace is doing the right thing here. I support this 100%.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. I don't think we're never going to see another.
We're not going to get the SAVE Act either, probably.
We're never going.
I can dream.
Well, we're never going to have another constitutional amendment. I don't think our Constitution will ever be amended again. I think we're too divided. I don't think it'll ever happen.
Stuck at 27
on anything. Yep. All right. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Democratic National Committee released its autopsy on the 2024 election. I mean, if you're a Democrat, you got to look at it as an autopsy. Blaming the loss on, among other things, former President Joe Biden's decision to seek another term for a hot minute. That report failed to mention things like the then president's disastrous debate performance. Get this. Former First Lady Jill Biden was on CBS News Sunday morning, and she said that at the time that was happening, when that was what I called the kill shot from Donald Trump when he goes, I don't think he knows what he's talking about. She said she was frightened as she watched her husband on the debate stage with President Trump.
I had never, ever seen Joe like that before or since.
Really?
Yeah.
Or since.
Yes. Or
You've
since.
never seen him like
Never.
that.
No.
Liar.
What happened? I don't know what happened. I mean, as I watched it, I thought, oh my God, he's having a stroke.
Liar.
Yeah. We all saw him like that
And
before,
afterwards,
Jill.
you're like, you're great. Not, do you need help? Can we go sit down and get some medical attention?
To throw in the towel, put him on a stretcher. Oh, my goodness. I've never seen him like that. By the way, Dustin May had a no-hitter going into the 8th inning last night.
Oh.
And Brewers scored 2 runs in the 8th and ended up winning the game 2-1.
Oh.
Dozens of out-of-state law firms are crashing into St. Louis trying to get your business. My advice, rely on a hometown firm. Under Law has been here for years. There are lawyers raising their families right alongside yours. And when you're injured by someone's careless actions, you are entitled to full compensation. You want lawyers who will not bend to big insurance, but will stand defiantly protecting you. Under Law, O-N-D-E-R, underlaw.com. Under wins.
Dude, this house is perfect. Crumbs everywhere, sticky counters. I've already texted the colony.
Sweet, I'll bring my 500 cousins. This'll be the biggest ant rager of the summer.
Let's party! Wait, oh, what's that sound? Oh, no, it's those trucks with the green wheels. Party's over, man. Party's over.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. We'd love to help you out. Give us a call today for a free estimate at 636-486-7888.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Dr. Michael Lewis, West Point grad, physician, and retired Army colonel, is considered the world's leading expert on the use of omega-3s in brain health. He's also the author of When Brains Collide. Dr. Lewis, a lot of people take fish oil supplements, but how do you know they're working if you're not testing?
Elizabeth, I've come across the biggest breakthrough in my 30-plus years of medicine. What if you could test yourself at home to see if your fish oil supplements are actually working? And then have the right product, a combination of fish oil and olive oil, a perfect Mediterranean diet in a bottle delivered right to your doorstep. This is the answer to the American ultra-processed food diet. Email me at test@brainhealtheducation.org. That's test@brainhealtheducation.org.
Email Dr. Lewis today at test@brainhealtheducation.org and take the first step toward a healthier brain. Your future self will thank you. That's test@brainhealtheducation.org.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. An egregious ceasefire violation, that's what the U.S. military says Iran is guilty of after the Iranians targeted Kuwait with missiles, which were intercepted. Earlier, the U.S. struck Iranian missile launch sites and drones near the Strait of Hormuz. The flare-up in hostilities, latest challenge of the fragile ceasefire. And beyond military action,
the Trump administration's placed additional sanctions on Iran, this time targeting the country's newly created agency that's trying to control shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. It's the latest effort to use economic leverage on top of military action to push Iran's leadership into an agreement to end the war and open the waterway. The sanctions were announced after officials told AP U.S. forces had carried out new strikes on an Iranian military facility after downing Iranian attack drones. I'm Ben Thomas.
Israel is more aggressively going after Iran proxy Hezbollah in Lebanon. The latest on that front, Israeli fighter jets struck a southern suburb of Beirut. President Trump gets a courtside invitation.
President Donald Trump says he plans to take in an NBA Finals game in New York when the series comes to Madison Square Garden next month. Trump says Knicks owner James Dolan asked him to join when the Knicks play either the Spurs or the Thunder. New York reached the finals for the first time since 1999 after sweeping Cleveland in the Eastern Conference Finals. Trump, a New York native, praised the Knicks' performance and called their return to the championship championship round after decades of futility. Quote, great to see. I'm Gethin Coolball.
House Democrats introducing a bill. It's aimed at blocking construction of the president's proposed triumphal arch near the Lincoln Memorial. On Wall Street, Dow futures are down 94 points, and NASDAQ futures off 125. More on these stories, townhall.com.
Spring cleaning isn't just for your house, it's for your life. If your job is getting old, it's time to clear the clutter and spring into IT. Go to My Computer Career.
My Computer Career helped me get the skills and certifications I needed to start a new life as an IT professional in months, not years.
Earn the certifications the top employers are looking for right now. Visit mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation to see if it's time to spring into IT. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
When you're vacationing in your RV, there are some things you can always count on. Taking the kayaks out on the lake, hot dogs on the grill, and your sister's boyfriend pulling out his acoustic guitar.
Everyone quiet! Harrison's playing. Wow, you're so good, Harrison.
With Progressive, your RV is protected 24/7, so you're prepared for whatever you don't see coming. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in D.C.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking afternoon highs back towards the upper 80s, so a little bit warmer this afternoon, partly sunny. Most of us looking completely dry. Then into Friday, some isolated chances of some showers going to be possible from the St. Louis metropolitan area, looking at 20%. As you head your way a little bit further to the southwest, that's where those chances slightly look to increase. High of 80 degrees, dropping humidity. Into Saturday, going to be looking at a few isolated chances of showers once again, mostly dry across much of the region, high of 82 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Window World of St. Louis. For replacement windows, doors, and siding, call 800-GET-WINDOWS. That's 800-GET-WINDOWS.
Looking for a fresh eating alternative for you and your family? Head on over to CJ's Restaurant and Bar in O'Fallon. CJ's literally offers something for everyone, from young to old. We're a casual American eatery with a wide-ranging menu of pastas, salads, and sandwiches, all served in a comfortable, warm environment with a family-friendly atmosphere. From vegetarian options to hearty classics. We offer dine-in, carry-out, catering, and even have a banquet room for your special events. Come see us or visit us on the web at cjsofallon.com.
If you love your pet, which I know you do, then they deserve the excellent treatment and care they'll receive at Pacific Animal Hospital in Pacific, Missouri, a full-service veterinarian facility. Originally built and grown by my dad, Dr. Bill Jones, a new generation of wonderful veterinarians and staff at Pacific continue to provide outstanding medical, surgical, dental, boarding, and grooming services for your favorite furry friends. Our family entrusts the care of our pets only to the experienced docs and staff at Pacific Animal Hospital. You should too. Call them today, 636-257-2100, 24/7 at PacificVets.com, PacificVets.com.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Susie Moore.
They look very aggressive. I think they want to beat me up.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, got an update to a story that always gets a lot of people's attention here, right here in St. Louis County, right here in the region. This seems like such an easy concept. When in doubt, when raunchy material might end up in front of children, give the parents a heads up.
Seems pretty basic.
I mean, this seems really easy. This is not a complicated concept.
Shouldn't be.
I guess that is too much to ask of at least one area public school, because the legal battle on this that we talked about, I think the last time we chatted about this was a month ago or so. We have an update, and it's not going the way that it should be going. We're now joined by Mary Catharine Martin from the Thomas More Society, and they have been locked in this back and forth with the Kirkwood School District. And Mary Catharine, I mean, I don't mean to oversimplify this, because there's the complex legal aspects of it that are involved, and there's third-party stuff, and then the access point and all that kind of stuff. But you would think that an organization, a taxpayer-funded organization that exists for one reason only, and that is to help with the preparation of children's minds, that they would want to tell parents, hey, by the way, watch out. This type of stuff could be accessible to them. What is the dysfunction in this so far? Because last time you told us about this, it just seemed like the violations of the Kirkwood School District were pretty clear, but they don't seem to be backing down. What's the update?
Well, thanks for asking. Thanks for having me. It is as simple as that. And unfortunately, it's just there are a lot of different manifestations of the things that are coming before the kids. And unfortunately, I believe the holdup is they don't want to ask parents because they don't want to hear no. Right. So, the occasion for our latest letter, and you're right, I was on here a month ago talking about the Day of Silence protest. And that protest, like the issue that I've raised today, or that we've raised most recently or continue to raise, they are not unique to Kirkwood. These are nationwide problems. Kirkwood is a particularly bad actor and unrepentant when it's raised on them. But unfortunately, this is everywhere. So that's the first thing I want everyone to realize is they need to go home, check their child's computer, pay attention to what's happening, whether or not they're being told by their school district. What's happening here is back in 2022, a library app appeared on kids' devices. It is the same library app you can get through the public library, and unfortunately, it provides the same resources you can get through the public library, but privately on children's devices. And when parents get it from school, they have an opportunity to opt out, but they're not told that there's all sorts of explicit content and other kinds of propaganda, cultural propaganda within this resource. They assume it's coming from school. They assume it's subject to the same filtering and review process that the school purports to make about their library and elsewhere on their computers, and they're wrong.
Mary Catharine, I know that you must feel this frustration because it seems like you guys have to keep going round and round on this. But is this a situation, do you think, where the district is thinking, okay, well, we're, summer break now, we can kind of just drag our feet, wait this out and let things blow over and then not respond in any way meaningful? Is there any way to actually enforce this with them?
Well, short of a lawsuit, which is now available to parents thanks to some recent Supreme Court decisions, short of a lawsuit, it seems clear that Kirkwood School District is not going to completely reform itself. I will say that back in the fall, we did tell them about this content and about the new law at the Supreme Court. It's not a new right, but the Supreme Court made clear that parents have a right to notice. And they made things worse. And one of the reasons we're writing these letters is to make parents aware that not only did Kirkwood School District, before they didn't have any notice, now they've notified parents that they fixed the problem. They've notified parents that that they've taken public library access off the computers. And in fact, that's false. It appears to possibly be false altogether. The most it means, and the most they even claim it means, is that they've taken away your right, students' general right to check out books from the public library. What they've not taken away is their access to the catalog, which includes sometimes multi-chapter previews with live links. And I mean, if you're talking about a sex encyclopedia, for instance, which is one of the examples of things that are on there and available to children below high school, if you just read chapters A and B, you can learn a lot, right? And that is still available. And they've gone and told parents, well, the public library includes some things you may object to, but don't worry, it's gated unless your child has a library card. But then they still allow them access to all these previews. Not to mention the fact that there's a whole collection on there, the Missouri Moornet collection, that also includes inappropriate materials. They've done nothing to gate that. And, and then finally their filter is ineffective within this. So parents who are relying on the normal filter to filter internet content on a child's device can't rely on that working effectively within this app, which is something that's widely known in the industry, but Kirkwood, and we have some testimony in litigation as to Kirkwood's filter in particular, but they refuse to admit it.
Okay, so we're visiting with Mary Catharine Martin from the Thomas More Society. And again, I want to restate, I'm going to talk about what I'm not hearing you say. I am not hearing you say that in this case, you're asking for books to be removed or for there to be any sort of censorious action. what you're talking about is the school district needs to alert the parents that this is accessible through these devices and through these school link things. I'm not even hearing you in this particular case. Not again, obviously, we don't want the kids to be able to access this stuff. But I'm not hearing you say they need to remove it from the catalog or the library. All I'm hearing you say is that Kirkwood needs to let the parents know, hey, heads up, there's a how-to guide on how to do some raunchy stuff that your kids might be able to get to because of this system. Just beware. That's all I'm hearing you argue for right now.
That is all that parents are constitutionally entitled to, and that's all we're asking. And I mean, so this can be solved either by removing the app, okay, or by simply just one simple and effective notice to parents of the kind of content that is in there. And the fact that they refuse to do even that they are kicking and screaming, we're multiple letters into this, right, that they refuse to make one clear communication admitting what's on there, which they support. They're choosing to provide this. They think it's good, right? So then if it's so good, why would they not want to bring parents on board? Why would they not want to let parents make that decision themselves? It's just so suspicious and suggestive of ulterior motives. But their motives don't matter. Parents have this right. And parents should assert it by contacting their school district and demanding notice in situations that raise these kinds of issues.
And so you said the next step would be if they don't respond or comply in some way to go ahead and proceed with litigation on this. Is this something that you see heading that direction?
Well, parents throughout the country have that right. I can't speak to this particular instance or Thomas More Society, but we do have some very damning facts in Kirkwood. They've been very clear that they do not intend that they believe that they've complied with the law in this area. And, right now we're still in the trying to educate them. This law is developing. And in fact, the Thomas More Society had the most recent Supreme Court case in this area that made clear that this right does not just extend to religious objections, but to all parents. So all parents, whether their objection is religious or not, have a right to guide the upbringing of their children, and they should assert this right against their school districts. If parents spoke up in volume, right, with respect to materials like this, then school districts would find it too costly to provide them. Does that make sense? So this opt-out right is not a nothing right, but it's much more powerful if, parents speak up in volume, because what we want is for the school districts to realize, we have a right to provide this propaganda, this explicit material, but it's just too much of a hassle. Why don't we teach math, right? Why don't we teach what parents are expecting their children to get at school and not, political and cultural propaganda?
I'm gonna go out on I would say a limb, but I don't think it's a limb. These school districts in the system, they know, I think, what the implications of the law are. I think they just, like Susie said, they want this to kind of fade from the headlines, and they just don't want to empower the parents. I think they know exactly what the law and what the Supreme Court rulings mean. Why they're dragging their feet has as much to do with a moral and ethical outlook as it does a media or a legal outlook, I think.
Well, I think we've all dealt with children who aren't going to comply unless they're forced, right? I mean, at least we know in Kirkwood they know what the law is. That's what the Thomas More Society is trying to do. And then in coming on your show and in other forms of media, we're trying to make parents aware of their rights throughout the country so that parents, by far, one piece of litigation is not nearly going to be as effective as thousands of parents asserting their rights. Does that make sense? So, I'm a lawyer. I'm supposed to want to sue people. But the fact is, what I want is for parents to have and assert their rights. But absolutely, I think that what you're raising is suggestive, is suggested by the fact that, the intent that you're raising, the intent to go around parents, the intent to continue being scofflaws until they're forced is definitely what's suggested by the fact that the remedy here, notifying parents, is so simple. And they still refuse to do it. They'd rather go back and forth with us than send one effective notice to parents about what they're actually doing.
Okay, so Mary Catharine, last minute or so that we've got, I think there's probably a lot of people, and it's like you said, not just Kirkwood. I suspect there's probably something like this in almost, if not every public school district in our entire region right here, both sides of the river.
Absolutely, there is. This
Yeah.
is provided by the state. This app is provided by our state government.
Okay, so there's going to be a lot of parents who are listening or grandparents who are listening, and they're saying, oh, Mary Catharine, you're absolutely right. This is awful. But my goodness, it is really intimidating for me to try to speak up and push back against this behemoth that is the school district. Do they have resources available to help them do that through you or anybody else? A parent says, yeah, we need to do something about this. I need to get involved, at least lend my support to what you and others are doing. What's the best way to take that first step?
Well, first of all, I want to make clear that any parent can contact their school district and opt out without any special form. They don't have to wait for the school district to create a form, right? They don't have to wait for a lawyer to create something that matches their situation, right? Because we are trying to advise when we put a model up, that's something that anyone can use anywhere, right? It may not suit a particular situation. Everyone has a right to opt out of content, not just this app, but any content that offends their religious or closely held beliefs that are not religious. They can approach their school district, ask who controls opt-out, and tell them what they don't want their children to see without notice. That's available to everyone. Now, Thomas More Society has some resources available. You go to www.thomasmoresociety.org, and that's more with one O, like more potatoes. And you can read about the rights of parents under these most recent parents' rights precedents. And there are some materials to guide you there. There are also other organizations with model opt-outs. If you Google model opt-out. But again, you can put any closely held belief on an opt-out and hand it to your school district, and they're legally obligated to follow it.
All right, Mary Catharine Martin, Thomas More Society, thanks again so much. I have a feeling I'm probably going to be calling and asking again as this sort of updates, because this is one of those areas where we can't just let it fade away. We have to keep the heat on.
Well, and I want to add, too, that we're trying to get public enforcement authorities interested in this. We have law enforcement who have admitted that if you gave this material to students on the street, you could be arrested because that material is that virulently explicit.
Yeah.
Okay, it constitutes pornographic for minors in this state.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
we are also calling on the Secretary of State and the Attorney General to make this a priority. Again, the relief is just one notice to parents.
Yeah, exactly.
It's inexcusable. It hasn't happened.
All right, Mary Catharine, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks so much. Hey, we've been talking about this. Coming up next Tuesday, June 2nd, it's the live debate for the St. Charles County Executive Primary. It's going to be featuring the three top candidates. That's Steve Ellman, the incumbent, Bill Eigel, and Jason Law. Mike and I are going to be moderating that. So
panelists, yeah.
We're panelists.
Yeah,
Jamie's the MC, and we're going to be asking the questions. So what we're wanting to ask you to do is to send us your questions, because we want your participation in this. We want everyone to get, we want to get a good variety of questions to put to these candidates. These are going to, one of these three men is going to be the next St. Charles County executive. So we want you to send us your questions. You can send them to Mike@NewsTalkSTL.com or Susie at NewsTalkSTL.com. The event is next Tuesday at the Jay Scheidegger Center for the Arts at Lindenwood Campus. It is from 7 to 8:30 p.m. You do not need to reserve a spot. Just show up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
Information, you want to take the place of what I trust.
You know, one of the things that's different about St. Louis, one of the things that makes St. Louis unique is all of the brickwork in the homes. And I'm not just talking about the brick homes themselves, which are unique enough throughout so much of the area, into the city, into Ladue, into Clayton, into Chesterfield, into U-City, you name it, Richmond Heights, it's there. But one of the other things is all that brickwork you see on the freestanding walls, the retaining walls, the outdoor living spaces with the fireplaces, all of these things that we're just really good at in St. Louis. And one of the reasons we're really good about it in St. Louis is because of Lee Block. Mike Ferguson here for Lee Concrete Block Company. They've been supplying St. Louis since 1947. LeeMayBlock.com. I'm telling you, scroll down. I'm looking at their website right now. Scroll down and look at the projects that they have helped supply so people can go build in their homes. just beautiful. You look at like the retaining walls, and you see those in U City, and you see them in Clayton, and you see them in Ladue, and you say, man, I wish my home looked like that. Well, it can. Bring in your idea to Lime. They will tell you what you need. They will get you set up. You can make it a reality. LimeBlock.com. Just go check out what they have available. Ask them the questions. Tell them Mike promised that you guys are going to be able to guide me the right direction, and they're going to do it. LimeBlock.com.
Colombo and Company.
Governor Kehoe has put a spotlight on the August elections in Missouri, and we're already feeling the impact. We'll dig into it Thursday with State Rep David Castile, plus Virginia Cruda from the Daily Wire and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local, weekdays at 2 on NewsTalk STL.
Colombo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at BluffCityOutdoors.com.
This is Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the #1 RE/MAX franchise in the region. As a licensed real estate broker with RE/MAX Results for over 20 years, I've seen the ups and downs of many real estate markets, including the one we're in right now. With the spring market in full swing, now is the time to leap into the buying or selling of your home. Someday is not a day. Today is the day to make your move. Call me at 314-852-8933 or email me at markhardersells@gmail.com.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my favorite go-to store for seafood, gourmet goodness, and tons of wine. It's Stars, 1135 South Big Bend. A huge selection of seafood flown in from the coast. Lemon sole, halibut, Maryland lump crab, Gulf shrimp, and you gotta try the trout dip. Plus, imported and domestic hand-cut cheeses, lots of hand-picked wines at great prices, hard-to-find gourmet foods, and fresh roasted coffee using only the best quality beans. Stars, 1135 South Big Bend, just off of Highway 40.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, Susie, you mentioned this a little bit earlier this week, the days of the week.
Yes.
Today's National Burger Day.
Yay!
And by the way, this whole thing that Susie's talking about, like being a burger aficionado, that's not put on for media. That's a real deal. That's a real thing.
I love
She
burgers.
loves herself a burger here.
I do.
Now, of course, somebody ranked the burgers.
Of course they did.
Though the national chains here. But I put the question out on Rumble. We could put it out on another social media. If you want to get a great burger in St. Louis, where do you go? So we'll compare notes on what was ranked as the best national burger chains. Now, there are some that you're going to go, why isn't this on there? Well, because you had to be at least in 10 states. So there are some like regional restaurants that aren't in there. But where are the best ones around St. Louis? Let me know. Send me a note here. But here's a question. Is there going to be a lame duck part of the Trump presidency? You're like, well, there's always a lame duck. But there's a lot of stuff that there always is that isn't with President Trump.
He is unique.
Yes. So Chris Arps is going to be on with us at 7:35, and I want to get his take on that, especially as the dust has settled from that Republican primary in Texas, among other places as well. Okay, so how fast does the news change? Well, about as fast as an Iranian drone or a U.S. missile. Yeah, or a tornado. Keep up with all of that through redstate.com, of course. So, Susie, what is hot off the presses today?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Speaking of that primary in Texas, we've got this one from Rusty Weiss. Low T Tallarico really wants you to know he likes meat and makes Buttigieg look normal by comparison. Yeah, the gloves are off. Tallarico is the one who is going to be taking a lot of fire between now and the general election, and I think it's well deserved. So good.
Yes.
You love to see it. Also, this involves Texas too. From Ward Clark.
Low T.
Low T Tallarico. It's already there.
I just stopped there. Just low T.
Yeah.
That's how we need to brand him. Just low T.
Low T. I do like the fact that I called him Alfred E. Newman yesterday, and so did the president. I don't know if he's listening to us. If he is, hi, President Trump. Border win. Chinese special interest aliens caught by Texas canine. Yes, there are still people trying to breach the border, but they were caught. Good, thanks to a good Texas canine. And then last but not least, we kind of talked about this earlier from Sister Told Ya, Dr. Jill's dramatic new spin on Biden's debate disaster fails the smell test, complete with receipts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mr. President, if you are listening, how about Black Label Society for the Great American Fair? Just saying. Just put a little hard rock in there.
There you go.
All right. Okay, 7:26 right now. So there's the website is Burger Beast.
Okay.
They're all about burgers.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, okay, what are the best national burger places out there? Now, there's going to be for instance, I will tell you right now that Harpo's is not on there because Harpo's
They're not national.
They're not national.
Right.
Yeah. So they're not saying the best ever burgers, just of the big ones. And so they only had like 6 on their top list. So I want to go through those fairly quick. And I put the question, we're getting some pretty good suggestions here. If I'm going to go get a great burger, where should I go? But number 6, Outback Steakhouse. Yeah. I mean, because when I go, I haven't been Outback in forever, but when I go there, I go for the actual steak.
Yeah.
but apparently they've got a pretty good burger.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to, I can't dispute
Yeah.
that. That's just not what comes to mind when I think great burger.
I am going to dispute their number 5 list.
Okay.
Denny's. I don't think that's a top 5 burger anywhere.
People go to Denny's for burgers.
Yeah, you don't go. You go.
I mean, not since I was a kid and we were traveling.
You go when you're drunk or hungover or high to get the Grand Slam for a few bucks.
He says not from experience, but just because he's heard rumors.
Yeah, there's one near my place. I'm telling you, I look at the people walking in and out.
Yeah.
What about IHOB?
IHOB.
You remember that rebrand?
They tried for a little bit.
Yeah. No.
Okay, so number 4 here, because I want to get to local stuff. I buy this one, Chili's.
Okay.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good place.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Cheesecake Factory was number 3. I never thought Cheesecake Factory was a burger place.
Me neither.
No. Cheddar's. I didn't know Cheddar's was in more than 10 states.
No, I mean, I know where the one is in Columbia.
Yeah,
That's it.
I eat there a lot when I'm traveling to Kansas City. Number 1, Buffalo Wild Wings.
Really?
Yeah.
Over Red Robin?
Okay, so Red Robin isn't in 10 states.
Oh.
Red Robin I thought Red Robin burgers are a lot better, but they just aren't big enough to make it there.
Okay, did they exclude fast food from
I
this?
think they just included them
Because
and they just didn't make the grade.
With that list, I got to say at least Culver's should have topped some of those.
We actually, somebody just mentioned Culver's on social media here with us. I forgot who it was.
Well, and they're not really around very much anymore. They're mostly closed, but
Yeah.
Fridays used to have a really
I was about
good
to say
burger.
Fridays.
Fridays had a great
Fridays had a great burger. Red Robin has a really good burger. Locally here, where would you go?
Well, obviously Harpo's.
Well, Harpo's. Yeah, Harpo's has great.
They
great.
do.
Somebody mentioned Wendy's. PMS 3105. Wendy's has some darn good food.
They do.
And I love that dive bar atmosphere. I've spent a lot of time at Wendy's.
No complaints.
I'm just going to say I've spent a lot of time at Wendy's. I know Wendy's. Where else do you think here? I'm getting some other ones. You want a burger, Jerome? Where do you go?
Whoever's going to pay me, I will go. And I was give them a shout out.
Oh, 101 straight up mentioned Culver's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so Jerome, you mentioned this because I was going to say that too. The Post.
Yeah, in Creve Coeur, they've got.
They've got like 3 posts, and they're all really good.
And then you got the Five Guys, which is a little bit overpriced, a little bit overhyped.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's better than like McDonald's, Burger King. I don't actually dislike Wendy's, to be honest. I will eat Wendy's before I go to Buffalo Wild Wings.
I have to say this about McDonald's. I mean, the thing about them is you know what you're getting, and if I'm traveling, like if I'm on the road and need to eat in the car while traveling, nothing beats a QPWC. I mean, it's not
QPWC?
quarter pounder with cheese.
Quarter pounder with cheese. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, it's easy. I mean, it's easy to eat while driving. I will just say that. I know from experience.
Another one is there's a really good bison burger at Duffy's.
Yeah, Duffy's has decent burgers.
Has a pretty good one too.
I haven't had it in a long time, but Tucker's I think has good burgers too.
I don't think I've been to Tucker's. By the way, to your point about the Post, they have a good bison burger too.
Yes. No, I highly recommend them.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
If they are interested in sponsoring the show,
I
I would love them even more.
Well, see, and usually when I do bison, I just get it fresh from Nutrition Stop and make it at home. But if you do the whole burger, then you really can't go wrong at Duffy's or the Post.
Bottom line is burgers are great.
Oh, I love burgers.
Yes.
I love me a burger.
But and all, like, joking aside, Harpo's has, I mean, their wraps are good. Their
food's great. I mean, I know I tell you guys about that because I'm advertising for them, but they really do have great food.
She's like passionate about her advertising because you can almost see, like, in her, like, the cartoons in the brain, there's like a dancing burger in her head when she's talking about it. You can see it here in the studio.
I might know what I'm going to be having for dinner tonight. Just saying.
Something that, if you're not a big burger fan, well, shame on you because I love burgers, but what I love as well is all of the Flashback Friday requests we're getting. Reminder, this week's theme is going to be MTV hits. These are the classics, or just whatever song that when you were watching MTV, you were like, wow, I really hope this video comes on next. We've already got a lot of great requests in, but there's still room for a few more, so get them into me, Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com, and let me know when you listen so you can actually hear your request.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking afternoon highs back towards the upper 80s, so a little bit warmer this afternoon, partly sunny. Most of us looking completely dry. Then into Friday, some isolated chances of some showers going to be possible from the St. Louis metropolitan area, looking at 20%. As you head your way a little bit further to the southwest, that's where those chances slightly look to increase. High of 80 degrees, dropping humidity. Into Saturday, going to be looking at a few isolated chances of showers once again, mostly dry across much of the region. High of 82 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scott.
John Beal Roofing reminds you we are in the stormy season, and that means if you have even the smallest leak in your roof, you could soon have a much bigger issue. Call the John Beal to make sure that your biggest investment is protected. That call can save you major dollars. If you do get hit during a storm, John Beal has a rapid response team. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, John Beal.
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
What I'm about to share with you could have you scratching your head asking, what? Or maybe you will nod in agreement. All right, let's begin with maybe an oversimplified statement, but there are facts behind the statement. In nation after nation, when smartphones become widely available, the birth rate in that nation declined. The younger the age group, the sharper the decline in having babies. Now, this is all part of a research report by the Financial Times. According to that data and experts interviewed, the smartphone and other digital devices are leading to fewer babies. And what Elon Musk argues, declining birth rates represent the biggest risk to civilization. More than 2/3 of the world's 195 countries have fallen below the replacement rate. One proposed thesis: to meet a person you're going to marry requires filtering through a lot of people versus simply going online and swiping left or right. Maybe eventually in-person contact, maybe not. And then the issue, do we have babies or not? And there's another divide between men and women with smartphones. I'm going to cover more of this in tonight's edition of Larry Connor's USA.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Do you know why I endorse Cafe Napoli, all the locations? Visit any of them, and you will quickly appreciate the quality of food, service, atmosphere. So maybe I'll see you at Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli Kirkwood, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. Or maybe you'll find me at Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Now you know why I endorse Napoli, NapoliSTL.com.
Democracy is loud, and on Tuesday, June 2nd, you can be right in the middle of it. News Talk STL is bringing the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate to Lindenwood University in St. Charles at the J. Scheidegger Center for the Arts. No reservations, no tickets, just show up. Can't make it in person? Catch every word live on News Talk STL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. The St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate on June 2nd. Brought to you by the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee, Mid-Rivers News Magazine, Lewis & Clark's Pachyderms Club, and the Hammond Institute for Free Enterprise at Lindenwood University. University.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
What happens next?
The Iranians want to talk.
Happens right here.
What I'm concerned of is miscalculation. I think President Trump is wise enough to make the correct decision.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
You know, in theory, we're approaching Donald Trump's lame duck period of the presidency.
In theory.
I say that with a little bit of a chuckle. I wouldn't count on that, right? Or if there is a lame duck period, and I think there'll be some version of it, it's not going to be a normal one because there's nothing normal about this presidency.
No.
I don't know what it's going to look like, but every pundit and political scientist who says, well, here's what's going to, they don't know because you don't have the bull in the china shop to look at previous anything other than, compared to what we have right now.
Correct.
It's all new. We're now
It's
joined.
unprecedented.
Yeah. We're now joined by Chris Arps. So Chris, we're talking about this obviously after the dust is settling on the Paxton and Cornyn race, and then you look at the other things where President Trump's endorsements keep winning. Now, whether or not the endorsement was the final factor or whether he was just betting on the winning horses, there's a combination of those. But it does show that he's got still massive influence, if not outright control of the GOP from top to bottom. I mean, it's just bad business for good or for ill. It's just bad business to not be completely on board with the president in party politics right now. So how do you assess the president's, most people would say, well, the leadership, but I would argue just basically complete control of the Republican Party at this point?
Yeah, no doubt. The last 3 weeks with the election or the defeat of the 5 Indiana state senators, the defeat of Bill Cassidy, the defeat of Thomas Massey, and the other night the defeat of John Cornyn clearly shows that the president is in control of the Republican Party, the GOP, and he has the base firmly behind him, no doubt.
Chris, if you had to put on your your Magic 8-Ball hat. I'm mixing metaphors there, but if you were,
that's a drink 8-ball. So.
You're looking in your crystal ball. At some point, Donald Trump will no longer be president. Presumably after January 2029. Let's assume that that's the case.
There are people who find that hard to believe.
I know,
but I'm just saying there are entire shows of people like that.
But if you were going to predict what things are going to look like for him after he leaves the presidency. In other words, is he going to ride off into the sunset in his golf cart down to Mar-a-Lago? And then, of course, he'll still comment on things, but actively be trying to influence the political realm? Or do you think he's going to say, I'm going to go play golf and I'll just tell you what I think about whatever, and not really try and worry about the political aspect of it?
I think he's going to do a little bit of both. Look, Donald Trump is a showman. He has been in the spotlight for the last 40 years, so I don't see him gliding off into the sunset, especially with the political power that he has right now. Now, if it wanes during the end of his term, then maybe. But I think if he still has the control that he has now, I think he will definitely want to still be a player in the Republican Party. If one of his cabinet members, Marco Rubio, becomes a nominee, or if J.D. Vance, the vice president, becomes a nominee, then I think he will definitely still want to have an influence in the GOP because, hey, those are his guys. So I don't see him particularly fading from the scene after his term. I do want to address, before we started, you guys are talking about President Trump being a lame duck. Look, if the Republicans lose the House or lose the Senate or lose both, he is definitely a lame duck in the traditional sense. Now, of course, President Trump is a big personality, and he's going to try to be forceful within politics. But if he loses either control of the House or the Senate or both, he is definitely a lame duck, and nothing that he wants to accomplish legislative-wise will happen.
Yeah, that's just math. I mean, that's just the number of votes in Washington,
Yeah.
D.C. We're visiting with Chris Arps. And so, Chris, either way, if the Republicans lose one or the other, and I don't see them losing the Senate, it's, I guess, possible they could lose control of the House. I honestly think this midterm is going to be about who gerrymandered the best or most effectively, but we'll see what turns out on that. At some point, to follow up with Susie's question, I could see President Trump, regardless of how this goes in the midterms, looking at long-term being the kingmaker and being very overt about being the kingmaker well beyond his presidency, as long as there's an active MAGA movement, which, populist movements come and go, but this one's been around longer than most of them.
Yeah, most definitely. As I said, Trump is a larger-than-life figure. We've seen the control that he's had over the party for the last 10 years, and that's a lot of power, and I don't see him wanting to relinquish that. Look, we've seen the president, his family and his sons are doing a lot of business with foreign entities and with the government. I think he'll still want to have that influence within the government, especially if it's the Republican Party, so we can do future business deals as well. So I don't see Trump going away anytime soon, unless he has a complete meltdown with his presidency. If inflation goes awry, if he loses both houses of Congress, if we're still in a war with Iran, then I could see his influence waning.
Chris, what about other Republicans that have their eye either on the presidency themselves or at least leadership, higher office? What does the political realm look like for them as they try to move out from his shadow?
Well, you got people like DeSantis, of course, that are going to be in the running. You've got Ted Cruz. A lot of folks want Ted Cruz on the Supreme Court, but I said after working for him in 2016, he's a relatively young man, and he still has his eyes on the presidency, and he would never want to be on the Supreme Court because that will take him out of politics. So I think, of course, you've got Rubio, you've got J.D. Vance, even though Rubio said he's not going to run against J.D. Vance if he decides to run. I think the big question will be, how will Donald Trump's legacy be at the end of his presidency? If it's deemed a successful presidency, then Marco Rubio or J.D. Vance will have that limelight to run in. If it's not, I mean, that'll be something that will be baggage on them if they are running for president. And then you have the outsiders, kind of like Ted Cruz and DeSantis, can say that, we weren't involved in the administration. And I could see Ted Cruz and maybe DeSantis saying, well, we've had 10 years of Donald Trump, that brand of conservatism. I think we should go back to the Reagan-esque type of conservatism that we had before Trump. So I think you may have that battle between those two factions at the end of the Trump presidency.
Okay, Chris, I'm glad you said that, because I wanted to ask you what your thoughts are on that as well, because, Donald Trump is not particularly conservative. He's done some conservative things that I think may be more about political calculation. But, he's a populist. He's a deal maker. He's, that sort of thing. I don't think he's particularly ideological. That's one of the things that I've seen over the last 10 years is not maybe a full-scale abandonment of conservatism in the Republican Party, but definitely it's taken a back seat to, what the MAGA movement has become. What is, if any, what is the role of the actual conservative movement within Republican politics and the overall kind of the right at this point? And where do you see the actual conservative movement? We're talking Buckley, we're talking, people like Reagan, and we're talking, people like Sowell, and we're talking people like that. What's the future of the actual conservative movement? Because I've argued that the president has defeated the conservative movement as much as he defeated the far left.
I think what you see right now with the Trump tariffs, how they've brought in a lot of money to the United States. But you look at the results with some of our farmers not being able to sell some of their goods. You see the trade kind of war that we're seeing with our allies in Europe and some of our Asian trading partners, and economic trade and economic development is now down because of that. I think you'll see that a resurgence among that wing of the party, the free trade type of party. I think you'll see that. But also it depends on how this Iranian war goes. The Reagan conservatives have always been kind of a speak softly but carry a big stick. America needs to be the policeman of the world, even though that's not the term that I like to use or they like to use. So I think you'll see kind of a battle between those two factions: the free trade, the stronger foreign policy Republicans, contrasted with the supposedly used to be Donald Trump faction that didn't want to be in endless wars and focus more on America.
All right, then, of course, you can hear conversations like this every afternoon from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock with Chris and Tim Jones as well. Early in the day, you may not have the stuff lined up yet, but what should we be listening for later on today, Chris?
Well, you saw the headlines this morning that the Iranians attacked an American air base in Kuwait, and we struck back against Iran for those measures. We have our usual Thursday guest, Steve Bucci. He is the military guy for the Heritage Foundation. We talk to him every Thursday, so I'm sure that will be a conversation on getting his thoughts on the war and is it ending or is it going to be a stalemate?
All right, thanks, Chris. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Chris. Hey, Governor Kehoe makes a decision regarding gas prices in Missouri. We're going to tell you about that in the news dump at 7:50.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
Tim Jones here for Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, the premier chiropractic and sports performance facility in the region. They've helped me recover from day-to-day aches and pains for years. And here's something special, personal training programs. Whether you're an athlete committed to increasing performance, recovering from an injury, or just want to get healthier and lose weight, their personal training programs will help you reach your goals and stay there. Comprehensive Chiropractic in Eureka, online at cchiropractic.com. That's cchiropractic.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-478-6430 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-478-6430. That's 800-478-6430. What do you have to lose? Call 800-478-6430. Again, 800-478-6430.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connor's USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
All right, missiles flying everywhere. This has been a weird ceasefire.
Mm-hmm.
Give you the update on that. The new map in Missouri stays. Republicans get another win in court, and the Cardinals hoping to reset. They got swept by the Milwaukee Brewers, and it was a particularly painful loss. All right, 7:51 right now. Let's do another news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Mario's Donut Restaurant.
The Morning News Dump. Are you joking? Is this a joke? Listen, folks, the Morning News Dump.
We just had Mario's yesterday in the station.
We did.
I might have had 2 of them.
I had half of one.
Okay, maybe 3 of them.
I had several halves of different donuts.
Go.
So good, so good.
All right, U.S. military forces shot down at least 4 Iranian drones, and they also hit a ground control station on Wednesday. The Iranian vessels are believed to have been a threat to traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. I haven't seen confirmation as to whether that was to commercial traffic or to military entities in the strait, probably to all of the above. But that's even in addition to the missiles that were flying between a bunch of other actors in the Middle East on yesterday as well. So basically, the ceasefire is not particularly ceasefire-y at the moment.
No, it's more fire than cease.
It's heavy on the fire, light on the cease.
Yes.
President Trump holding his cabinet meeting yesterday, and he says, among other things, Iran is negotiating on fumes, his words, and that the U.S. has neutralized their military capabilities before the ceasefire-ish, and claims that they are now willing to agree to a deal.
It looks like they want to just make a deal. I don't think they have a choice. They're just going back to the internet because they're getting clobbered. Their economy is in free fall. They have 250% inflation. Their money has no value. Their whole economic system is broken down.
And obviously statements from the Iranian government are basically the just opposite. And I don't think we're probably anywhere close to an end to this war, even though we've been told that we are for a couple months now.
I'd like to think there's light at the end of the
tunnel. I would love to think that, yeah. We'll see how that goes. All right, a key part of the battle over the new congressional district in Missouri is over. The Missouri Supreme Court on Wednesday ruled against the NAACP, which was challenging the legality of the special session that resulted in the new map being passed last September. So the new map, as you know, gerrymanders an additional seat in the U.S. House for Republicans in Missouri. Opponents of the new map are hoping that voters will then veto the new map with a referendum that is likely to be put on the ballot in November. We're going to talk to Secretary of State Denny Hoskins about that at 8:05. But what this lawsuit was doing was not directly challenging the map, Susie. It was challenging the special session that created the map, saying that that wasn't done legally. And the Supreme Court went, no. Unanimously.
Not buying
no.
it.
Yeah. So that is the last standing lawsuit against the maps at this point.
Yes.
Okay, Missouri will not suspend the state's gas tax. That is the word from Governor Kehoe's office. Some state lawmakers have asked for a special session to pause the collection of that tax, which is assessed per gallon and is used to fund road construction and road maintenance. 3 states have either suspended or reduced their fuel tax because of the rising prices. President Trump has proposed suspending the national gas tax, although that idea does not seem to have much traction in Congress. I know people aren't going to like to hear this, and I don't like to say it because it's hurting me with these gas prices, but that's the right decision by the governor.
I think it is too.
It really is. Yeah, this is almost solely almost completely where the maintenance and the repairs and the construction funds come from, almost completely. So that's the right move. It may not be a popular move by the governor, but I think it was the right move.
I think so too.
Yeah. All right, President. I've already read that one. Let me go back to the other one here. All right, gender and religion. Just 2 of the issues defining the Texas Senate race now between Attorney General Ken Paxton and Loti. The latter of whom is under fire from his opponent for saying that, among other things, God is non-binary. Paxton was on Hannity last night on Fox, and he doesn't think Texans are going to go for somebody that out to lunch when it comes to like normal stuff.
I think he got lost and ended up in the wrong state. He should be in California, not in Texas.
And one of the other dividing issues in the race, obviously border security. Paxton says James Tallarico wants open borders. Tallarico says there should be a welcome mat at the border as well as a lock on the door. He just never said you should have the door locked. So you can have a
lock on the door, just hanging there loose.
Right. Like our lockers back in the day.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness. All right. What else we got here? I got a couple minutes left here. St. Patrick's Center in the city.
says they are on shaky ground financially right now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Some of that is because of cutbacks in government funding, so they're relying on donations more. And in addition to an online fundraiser, the charity is hosting a gala and a golf tournament this weekend. Details are at stpatrickcenter.org, so stpatrickcenter.org. The center has been connecting homeless people in the city with emergency aid and housing and employment support and health care and counseling for over 40 years. If it were not for the St. Patrick Center in the city would be a lot worse off.
Yes, they would.
Yeah. So they do some very good work, and they have a lot of standards. They don't just hand out freebies out there. So they do some very good work. And here's the thing is nonprofits and charities should be based on donations far more than any government grant situation.
Absolutely, they should.
So just check it out. stpatrickcenter.org, stpatrickcenter.org, especially if you're a golfer. You know, Tim Jones's ears just perked up when you said that. Whether he's listening or not, you know that his ears just perked up. All right. The Cardinals get swept by the first place Brewers, but they do hang on to second place in the division. Okay. Final score in Milwaukee was 2-1. Despite, and here's why I said this was a really painful loss. This is despite Dustin May taking a no-hitter into the 8th inning.
Ouch.
Oh, man, so close. But he ended up with the loss after the Brewers scored twice in that inning. Redbirds are off today. They start a series with the Cubs at home on Friday. That is a 3-game series starting on, tomorrow.
Spring has sprung at Daniel's Farming Greenhouses on Juggerman and St. Peters. Discover our breathtaking 55,000 square feet of greenhouses featuring 8,000 hanging baskets, hundreds of perennials, and 100,000 pods of colorful annuals. From vegetable plants to premium grass seed, mulch to herbs, our knowledgeable staff is ready to answer all your questions. Start spring off right with pansies, potted tulips, and everything your garden craves. Daniel's Farming Greenhouses. Visit us today on Juggerman or online at danielsfarminggreenhouses.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, your financial friend with Serenity Wealth Management, joining us this Sunday right here on News Talk STL for the Serenity Wealth Now show. We've got my friend Joel Hauser. We're going to come in, spend some time talking about protection strategies to protect your income, to protect your assets, and more importantly, the lifestyle you deserve. So tune in right here Sunday morning, 9 a.m. for the Serenity Wealth show, airing right here on News Talk STL or on your Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets. We'll see you then.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Mitch Thomason. Iran lashes out again at a maritime neighbor, bringing a stern rebuke from the U.S. military and driving oil prices higher.
Kuwait has said it was targeted with a missile and drone attack. That's another challenge to the shaky ceasefire in the U.S.-Israel war with Iran. Kuwait's military made the announcement without providing further details on what had been targeted. Iran said hours later that it launched an attack in the region. It did not say exactly what was targeted. Kuwait is a close ally of the U.S. and it repeatedly came under fire from Iran and Iranian-backed Shiite militias in Iraq during the war. President Donald Trump has expressed confidence that his administration is making headway in negotiations with Iran to end the war. I'm Karen Shamas.
A southern Beirut suburb has been blasted by Israeli airstrikes targeting Hezbollah. Earlier, the Israelis warned civilians to evacuate the area. 9 people are still missing following a chemical storage tank meltdown at a paper plant in Longview, Washington. Hundreds of thousands of gallons of a caustic chemical spilled, keeping search crews at bay.
We're bracing ourselves for this being the deadliest industrial tragedy in modern Washington state history. When you have a tragedy of that scale, the impacts on individuals, on families, and on communities is profound.
Washington Governor Bob Ferguson says 2 people are confirmed dead. The missing are presumed dead. Commerce Department reporting that inflation rose 3.8% last month compared to a year ago levels. Inflation hitting a 3-year high in April. Watching Wall Street ahead of this morning's opening bell, stock futures are in the red. The Dow futures are down about 70 points, while the S&P futures are off 2 points. NASDAQ futures up now by 2. Townhall.com.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, you'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure Talk.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking afternoon highs back towards the upper 80s, so a little bit warmer this afternoon, partly sunny. Most of us looking completely dry. Then into Friday, some isolated chances of some showers going to be possible from the St. Louis metropolitan area, looking at 20%. As you head your way a little bit further to the southwest, that's where those chances slightly look to increase. High of 80 degrees, dropping humidity. Into Saturday, going to be looking at a few isolated chances of showers. Once again, mostly dry across much of the region. High of 82 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
License number GL250000615.
You're cooking dinner. The lights go out. You flip the breaker and forget about it.
But what if it keeps tripping?
Trips once, your breaker's doing its job. Keeps tripping? That's a warning. Bad wiring or something worse.
Do people just keep flipping it?
Most do, until they can't anymore.
Call Grasser. We'll stop the trip.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators. They're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Does anybody still care about the doctors and the scientists that have either disappeared or been killed? U.S. Representative Eric Burleson cares, so we'll ask his communications director, Nate Lucas, all about that Thursday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9
on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
I'm not like the rest of you. I don't make mistakes.
Susie Moore.
What you're telling me doesn't sound logical, my dear.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
You need to get to go. I need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin Rob.
All right, at least one part of the battle over the new congressional map in Missouri is over. Mm-hmm. It's over. The legal side of it at this point is over. Yes, the court said Governor Kehoe has and had the authority to call the special session that created the new district. So it's a little bit wonky, but this lawsuit that was just kind of slapped down because it was a unanimous ruling by the Missouri Supreme Court really ends the legal challenges like directly in court. So we're joined now by Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. And Denny, I'm hoping you can, because you understand this stuff, far better than I do. Basically, all of the lawsuits against the new maps, those are now settled. And the new map wins, the Republicans win on this. But what was it that the court was ruling? Because my understanding is, Denny, that the NAACP was not challenging the maps per se, but they were saying you didn't even right to have that special session, and so everything that was passed was null and void. They were essentially attacking the use of the process, if I understood it right.
That's correct. Yes, the NAACP had sued Governor Kehoe and said he did not have the authority to call an extraordinary session this past September. And you said it right. It was a unanimous decision. The oral arguments before the Missouri Supreme Court yesterday morning, I think within a matter of hours after those oral arguments were done, the Missouri Supreme Court came back with a unanimous decision and said that, hey, yes, Governor Kehoe does have the authority to call special session, and therefore the special session for the redistricting map was, in fact, legal.
Okay, so the only lawsuit that I'm aware of that's still active now at this point is the one against your office, against you, saying, okay, the petition for the referendum to try to, for lack of a better term, veto the map, they're saying, okay, you've got until the primary day to verify the signatures, but they're trying to get the court to compel you to do it faster than that, even though the legal requirement is what, August 4th, I think is what it is.
Yes.
Is there any update on that lawsuit, and then an update on the verification process of these signatures that they've submitted?
Right. Yes, there are, I believe, 2 lawsuits still pending against me. And I've said, somebody said, well, I saw you got sued yesterday. And I said, well, that's just a normal Wednesday in the Secretary of State's office. We get sued a lot, but on average, actually, during my tenure, I've been sued less on average than the prior 3 Secretary of States. Those 2 lawsuits that you filed against me are trying to force me to make a decision earlier than August 4th. According to state law, I have until August 4th to certify the referendum signatures as either sufficient or insufficient. And so what they're trying to force me to do is do that earlier. I've been very clear from the beginning. I do have some constitutional concerns about doing a referendum on congressional maps. I mean, the dates just don't make sense. It doesn't make sense that the same date that I'm supposed to have the signature certified for the referendum is also the primary election date. And so those 2 lawsuits are going through the courts, but I'm hopeful and confident that I will prevail in that. I mean, if you think about it, it would be kind of like, hey, April 15th is the deadline for you to turn in your tax return, but we're going to sue you and make you turn in your tax return on January 31st this year or something like that. So I'm hopeful that I will prevail on both of those lawsuits. Currently the status is we have several election authorities as well as county clerks that are still verifying those signatures, and they have until July 27th in order to verify those signatures for the referendum. And then I have from July 28th until August 4th to certify those signatures. This is a system of checks and balances where this is a slow, steady process. I'm not going to have any knee-jerk reactions. We're going to utilize that full time and make sure that all of those signatures are valid before I rule on sufficiency or insufficiency.
Okay, so I'm sorry to hear your numbers are down. I don't really have a reason to sue you, but if you need to get your lawsuit numbers up, let me know. I mean, I can sue you for something if you want. I just don't know what it would be.
Right, exactly. We've had the governor of the state of Missouri, Governor Kehoe, has said that the new Missouri First map is in effect. The courts have continuously ruled in my favor and said, yes, the Missouri First map is in effect. Attorney General Hanaway, whose team is doing an excellent job of representing us in court, has said that, hey, the Missouri First map is in effect. And myself, as the chief election officer of the state of Missouri, I've said the new Missouri First map is in effect. However, we still have some liberal naysayers that say, hey, is there anybody else that has a higher authority? Well, I only know one other person that might have a higher authority that could weigh in on that, and that's God. And if he lets anybody know about the constitutionality of the Missouri First map, please let me know, because I've got some other questions for him as well.
We're visiting with Denny Hoskins, Missouri's Secretary of State. Okay, let's talk about this referendum. It's if assuming that the signatures, there are enough valid signatures on it, which you've said before on this program, and you've told me privately, you think that they probably do have the raw numbers. But at that point, then, are we looking at a November vote? And then what kind of chaos or confusion happens if that passes in November?
Well, if I'm predicting the future and the referendum did have enough signatures to be ruled sufficient, then that referendum would go on the ballot in November. And then based on whether or not voters approve that referendum or voted down that referendum, we could have the Missouri First map for the 2026 to 2028 election. And then if the referendum was defeated, then we could go back to the old maps in 2028. However, there was a U.S. Supreme Court decision just a couple weeks ago that said we cannot have any more majority-minority districts. And currently, Congressional District 1 over in St. Louis City is a majority-minority district. And the U.S. Supreme Court said that is racial discrimination. I've always said that, hey, drawing districts based on the color of one person's skin, that's the definition of racism. And so I could see the legislature actually coming back into session in 2027 and redrawing the maps again in order to eliminate that racially discriminated district in CD1.
Yeah, let me nitpick the words just a little bit. It wasn't so much that majority districts are illegal. It's that you can't draw them specifically because of race. I mean, if they just naturally happen to be minority, that's one thing. But what the Supreme Court ruled on was you can't look at the color of people's skin and say, okay, let's draw it according to that.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess at this point, then, you mentioned a little bit earlier, and I want to follow up that you have some questions about the legality or the constitutionality of the referendum that's proposed to veto these maps. What are your concerns about that?
Well, first of all, like I said before, the dates just don't make sense. It does not make sense that in order to have a referendum on congressional maps, which state law and the Constitution is very specific that authority is only granted to the legislature in order to draw those maps. But the dates don't make sense that I would have until the primary election day, August 4th, in order to certify those signatures when we'll be voting on the Missouri First map that day. So I do have some constitutionality concerns. Those were brought up in a federal court case that the Attorney General's office represented for me earlier this year.
Now, would this be any different? Because it's been brought up that there is a little bit of precedent in Missouri where there was a congressional redistricting that was vetoed by a statewide vote, but that was an 18 whatever. But there is a precedent on this. Is this situation different than that situation from a legal perspective?
Yeah, yes, I believe that it is different from a legal perspective. I mean, we've had a lot of laws and reinterpretation of laws since then. And so, we have, I believe that it is different. And like I said, I do have some constitutional concerns. Currently, my general counsel, as well as myself and the Attorney General's office, are doing some research to see if in fact, we do believe it's constitutional or unconstitutional. I've not made any decisions yet, but we're going to utilize this full amount of time in order for checks and balances and to make sure that we get this right.
Okay, Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins. Boy, that's a lot of talk about maps and the elections. Anything else we need to be watching for in the headlines out of your office? Because it's not like elections are the only thing you do.
That's right. Elections aren't the only thing that we do, but we do make a lot of, I say elections make all the headlines. We have about 200 employees and $71 million of your taxpayer budget. So what we've been doing is really focusing on auditing the voter rolls. And since over the past year, we've taken off over 200,000 ineligible voters off the voter rolls, including 60,000 deceased people. We want to make sure that only eligible voters are on the voter rolls. We've also had some memorandum of understandings with surrounding states, including the state of Kansas, where we take our voter rolls and compare them to Kansas voter rolls to see if there's any duplication because, like I said, we don't want any Jayhawks crossing the state line on election day and voting in Missouri elections. That's for sure.
That's right. Absolutely. Or honestly, to have them come across the border for any reason. I'm just saying. All right. That's Secretary of State Denny Hoskins, thanks so much. I'm sure I'm going to be bugging you about something else in the headlines sooner rather than later. So I appreciate you being on again.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right, next week, coming up on Tuesday, the St. Charles County Executive Primary Debate. We've been talking about this for a few weeks now. Mark it on your calendar, Tuesday at the Scheidegger Center at Lindenwood University in St. Charles. Bill Eigel's going to be there. Steve Ellman's going to be there. Jason Law's going to be there. I'm going to be there. Susie's going to be there. Jamie Ellman's going to be there. You should be there too. And matter of fact, Susie and I will be on the panel moderating, or the panelist, Jamie Ellman's the moderator. We're going to be asking a lot of the questions of these candidates. Email me your question suggestions, Mike, M-I-K-E, at newstalkstl.com. If you've got a question you'd like to hear answered at that debate, send them in. I will incorporate as many of those as possible. All the details of the debate and the broadcast of it at newstalkstl.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
A cross between Socrates and Dirty Harry.
On News Talk STL.
Information, you want to take the place of what I trust.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Anthony's Produce, Cole O. Combs, and Heroes Care. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo, and it's tough to pick, but my favorite sandwich at Capriotti's is the cheesesteak with a side of Cap's awesome fries. Visit Capriotti's now at 2 locations, on Manchester at McKnight and Rock Hill, and now in Creve Coeur on Olive, just 1 mile west of 270.
Mother's Day is almost here, and Anthony's Produce has everything you need to make it special. We're blooming this season with locally grown flowers, gorgeous hanging baskets, colorful bedding plants, and stunning flowering pots. Plus, our huge selection of rare tropical plants is sure to impress. And don't forget Mom's sweet side. Treat her to a fresh fruit bouquet or indulgent chocolate-covered strawberries. Our shelves are stocked with the best produce in town, too. Anthony's Produce, open 7 days a week, 7 to 5, on Jungerman Road or at anthonysproduce.com.
Whether you need an LS conversion, a suspension lift, major repairs, or just routine maintenance, there's one name you can trust under the hood: Hardin's Complete Auto. Julius Hardin and his ASE certified team handle it all, from everyday service to specialty builds, with the skill and experience your vehicle deserves. Don't take chances with your automobile. Leave it to the professionals. Call Julius directly at 314-267-5099. That's 314-267-5099.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Hey, this is Vince Colonnese. I'll talk to you tonight at 8, but now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show on News Talk STL.
And a lot of talk about, obviously, the elections and the maps and what's going to happen in the midterms and the Trump presidency and the lame duck versus the legacy, all of this kind of stuff, okay? We are basically in a 12-month-a-year election cycle now. There's no downtime. I mean, we've already, earlier today, Jerome, we were talking to Chris, and naturally, the question came up, all right, 2028, Marco Rubio, J.D. Vance, Ron DeSantis, Ted Cruz, you can go down the line. Democrats talking about, who they're going to have as well. There's never a downtime from the election season. It is always an election season, basically with no stop at this point.
Yeah, it really does feel like once they get elected, they say, okay, now let me tell you what I'm going to do for you next election.
Right. And if you want to be elected to some high office, you almost have to start a decade or 2 decades before, because it's always going on. So here's my question, 314-912-1019, if you want to jump in on this. Is that a good or a bad thing? I mean, for those who are political junkies, and I know a lot of people who love every aspect of politics. I mean, they're passionate about it. It's, yes, about the ideology. It's about the conservative or leftist or whatever, wherever you're coming from. It's about that, but it's also about this is what I love to do. Some people love to go into business because they're passionate about this thing of business and they want to win. Some people are passionate about, social media and they're gauging their success by likes and downloads and reach. Other people I love politics because I love winning the game. Now, there are other people who are in it because they're passionate about the issue itself, but the politics itself, for junkies, man, you don't have to take a break. You could stay in it all year round. Is that good for our country, for our community, for our society? Is that good for us overall? I mean, it's the reality, but is it good or bad for us?
That is a very tough question. Because on the one hand, I think that when you're always in that cycle of things, it becomes difficult to keep track of and hold maybe more accountable the people that just got elected. If you're always only looking forward to what is my next election cycle going to look like, or whatever the case may be, and especially with how many different politicians we have. I mean, how many different areas that we need to be focused on. Is this the right person for a treasury? Is this the right alderman, right council member, right executive? It can sometimes just get overwhelming, to be frank.
I wish that people were as fired up about, is this the right person for alderman, as they do, is this the right person at the national level? I wish people got that fired up.
We need a solid comptroller, Mike.
That's right. We actually do. That's true. That's the thing is the funny part is in these conversations, I've had this for years. People either recognize me or they're just friends or family and they know what I do for a living for all this time, or, during conversation, they figure out that, I do a punditry and talk shows and they go, oh, you must really love politics. I don't.
I can testify to that. You do not.
I don't like politics.
I do, but
yeah, I know, but and there's nothing wrong with that. I would, I've told the story, and this is so true. I walk out of here on Friday. I start my weekend. I turn on the hair metal channel or the classic rock channel or the 80s, and I tune out of the news. Now, if there's something major, huge happens, I get some text and alerts, and then I go back to it. But I decompress the first chance I've got, or I'll turn on, listen to the ball game. I do not want my life to revolve around politics. I just don't. It's a factor in it because of what I do, and it's a factor because government will take an interest in me, and if we don't stand up and push back, it's going to overwhelm us. So we should be involved. I'm not saying disconnect from it, but I'm saying is it shouldn't be the driving factor. I don't identify myself based on politics, based on ideology. I've got strong opinions. I've got defined ideology, but I hope that we don't look in the mirror and go Republican, Democrat, MAGA, whatever, social, libertarian. So, whatever the kind. I would hope that we don't do that, but I know that there are people who do.
I'm glad you brought that up because I've been reflecting on just trying to figure out, I guess, how to make sense of where we are as a society when it comes to politics. And I do think that there is something about it. People want to feel like they're part of something.
Oh, totally.
And that's where I think a lot of this comes in. I know people right now that are, again, talking about people that are my age, and the whole idea of an attack on our democracy needs saving. Okay, so you clearly take this very seriously, but then can you tell me who's even representing your district? Can you tell me who your mayor is? Can you tell me who anybody that is part of your city government or your county government are? And most of the times, almost all the time, they say no. They couldn't name me anything that's going to be on the next ballot that they're going to have to vote on. They don't know who's even running the show, but by golly, voting is just so darn important for them. Yeah. Well, why are you making this your whole identity about how you need to fight back, but you don't even know what you're fighting for? So where do you think that comes from?
And then the question over whether this is a good or a bad thing. It doesn't have to be inherently one or the other. You can have a really solid interest in politics and enjoy it the way that the old school did, where our parents and grandparents' generation, hey, they would go to the pub. They would go, to the restaurant. They would go to the breakfast joint and solve the world's problems and sit and debate politics and all of that sort of stuff and culture and society. That's a good thing to be engaged. I think we should all be engaged.
Yes.
I think there are times we should disengage for short times and decompress and sharpen the axe and realize that life is bigger than politics. But the reason I ask that is it's good or bad that we are in this perpetual election cycle. It's good for the consultant class, as Tim Jones calls them, because they make bank on this all the time and they don't have to wait 2 years or 4 years to find a client or two. But if our outlook is always what's the next partisan or tribal win or loss, we then lend ourselves to the idea that every single election is life or death, and it's apocalyptic. And if we have a bad president or a bad governor or a bad county executive or a bad mayor or a bad whatever, that we're just not going to survive and we're going to be in ruins in 2 years or 4 years or 6 years. And that's just not the case. A lot of damage can be done. Don't get me wrong. I have had policies that have ruined things that were bigger than anybody could. I mean, I will tell you, Sam Page's dictatorial approach during the COVID thing, I had just gone back into business for myself, left a really high-paying job. And what he did basically made that almost impossible to make a good living at that time. Now, I could probably go try to build it now, but I know small business after small business, franchises, people investing their whole lives in this, and it wiped them out. The local matters as much or more than anything else.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I think is very frustrating in our political landscape right now, is that we've gone away from debating ideas and we've gone towards fighting for parties. And that is just not the right approach to it, because there are people that could have the proper animal and the proper term next to their party name, but they don't act or behave anywhere close to what they should, or that they talk a very good game. They know all the talking points, then they get elected, and then next thing you know, they don't follow through on that. And but again, the whataboutism. Well, if we don't get this in, imagine how much worse it would have been if that had happened. Well, that didn't happen though. We need to leave the past in the past. We need to understand that there is going to be fluctuating periods where bad policies are going to take time to undo. But at the same time, if your main reason for why you support something is because the alternative is worse, well, then we need to demand better.
Right.
Why are we not discussing how to make things better rather than how not to make it worse?
We're only going to drive off the cliff at 30 miles an hour. They're going to take us off at 70 miles an hour.
Exactly.
So clearly we're, so that there's that sort of thing. But here's the other aspect of this is when you look at this perpetual election season, when you look at the perpetual tribalism, you look at the idea that we cannot deviate from our side or our loyalty to any one particular anybody, is that you look at when the stakes are that high, it's no wonder that good people, better people, and there are some good people in politics, don't get me wrong, but it's no wonder that more good, top-notch, solid people, that they won't run for office. That they look at their family, they sit down at their kitchen table and they look at their kids, or they're in their basement and the favorite show comes on. Their kids are playing on their iPads or whatever, and they look and say, this is what matters. Why would I put myself in a position to have my entire family under scorched earth?
Mm-hmm.
Boy, I think I've got some good ideas. I could make things better. I really think I could help. I think I have a duty to it, but I'm not doing that to my wife. I'm not doing that to my husband. I'm not doing that to my kid. I'm not doing that to my church. I love this charity I'm involved with. They're going to get ripped apart if I get involved with this. That's not what we want. That's not healthy. That's not good. It's what it is. I mean, that's just the reality of it. I don't think it's going to change at this point unless there's a massive uprising to demand the change, but I just don't see it. I don't think that the perpetual campaigning is good for anybody right now.
Yeah, Corporeal Being points out policy over party, and that's kind of where I am. I mean, and that's where I think it's so frustrating, because I know people that I personally, myself, personally, and many other people that are in the orbit would say, like, you would be you are exactly the type of person, the integrity to follow through on the policies that a lot of people want. Why wouldn't you run? So, well, I would not, I wouldn't be able to run because if I go independent, then the Democrats are not going to vote for me because they don't want the Republicans to win. The Republicans won't vote for me because they don't want the Democrats to win. And then if I join one of the parties or the other, then I basically ruin my chance at anything if I don't get enough people. So they just stay out of it because you have to step in line a lot with the establishment.
Yeah, the day of the independent candidate, and I don't think we're ever going to see an effective third party ever again. There are efforts, and I'm not even saying that they're all bad. Somebody needs to be the conscience and the threat to hold the others accountable. But I think those days are over. I mean, the political binary is real, but that doesn't mean that people should not have options to hold them accountable.
Well, and I'm not so sure about that. If we look at the actual voter registration record, so right now young people, regardless of politics, are overwhelmingly registering as independents right now. Right. There's been a shift. I think 45% of all voters right now have shifted from to independent from one party or another. So, I mean, the Democrats taking it the worst right now, but the Republican Party is also taking a lot of hits. And I think that that's because we see that people want to have more conservative principles overall. We want to get away from the leftists at the very least. Maybe if you were a Democrat, you just want to be more moderate than crazy leftists. But we're seeing that shift overall. But it's still a shame that I don't think that even with the record level of independent voters, that we would see a good independent candidate.
I don't think we would see one. Now, political science was not my major. It was my minor. I'll admit it was just my minor in college. But I'm telling you, the 45% of people are not going to openly vote for a third party or say my priority is going to be an independent or a third party. Yeah, most of them will lean to one party or the other, and the question is, are you going to show up to vote or not? But I wish there were a constitutional and a free market, limited government party out there to hold both of the others accountable. I just think we have evolved into a two-party system. Frankly, the two-party system that we were warned against back in the 1800s or 1700s. But that's what it is. We're dealing with reality on that. And I think it starts with us individually going, you know what? I'm going to care. I'm going to be involved. I'm going to stand for what's right. I'm going to stand against what's wrong. But I'm going to prioritize my life and my family, my community first.
Amen to that. Now, I do have another question for you, though, real quick, Mike.
Yes?
Who do you want to see perform at America's big birthday party? Let's talk about who's scheduled to be on the stage and, more importantly, who should be on the stage at the Freedom 250 celebration that's coming up here at 8:35.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
He picked the wrong schoolyard to come into, I have to tell you this.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking afternoon highs back towards the upper 80s, so a little bit warmer this afternoon, partly sunny. Most of us looking completely dry. Then into Friday, some isolated chances of some showers going to be possible from the St. Louis metropolitan area, looking at 20%. As you head your way a little bit further to the southwest, that's where those chances slightly look to increase. High of 80 degrees, dropping humidity. Into Saturday, going to be looking at a few isolated chances of showers once again, mostly dry across much of the region, high of 82 degrees. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scott.
Fox News commentary with Craig Gutfeld. Next.
My doctor said I could use something called a biosimilar. Then she told me what it is.
A biosimilar is a type of biologic medication. Just like brand name drugs have generic versions, original biologics can have biosimilars.
So I asked what the benefits are and if they work the same.
Biosimilars have the same safety, effectiveness, and quality as the original biologic. They also offer more medication options at potentially more competitive prices.
My doctor said I could learn more at fda.gov/biosimilars.
Here's Greg Gutfeld.
The UN-backed climate change panel just rescinded its doomsday predictions. A massive survey of 16 to 25-year-olds found that more than 50% reported feeling anxiety, helplessness, and guilt over climate change. It's the kind that affects their daily functioning. So the UN is backing off after calling you a climate denier, but no big apology, no refund check, no our bad. Because in the end, they got what they wanted. The motive wasn't the environment, it was greed. The instrument was fear. Once panic becomes an industry, there's no incentive to calm people down. That's why every Dem crisis now comes with a consultant, a nonprofit, a celebrity telethon, and a 900-page spending bill. Every apocalypse is a business model. And for the climate change scammers, no business had been hotter than the end of the world.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Hey, it's Susie Moore for Window World. Did you know that in just over the last 20 years, Window World of St. Louis has improved the look and thermal efficiency for over 80,000 customers in St. Louis? Plus, Window World windows come with a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And now, Window World is offering 36 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call them today at 800-GET-WINDOWS for a free in-home, no-pressure estimate. That's Window World at 800-GET-WINDOWS. They're the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues.
No big old corporate lib AM station telling us what to say here.
Conservative talk for St. Louis. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1.
And always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hey, this is Carl Higbee, host of Frontline on Newsmax TV, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, the Great American Fair. This is part of the America 250 celebration in Washington, D.C., which, by the way, we are doing a whole lot of celebrating America's 250th here at NewsTalkSTL.com, or at NewsTalkSTL. Go to NewsTalkSTL.com to see that, which is also going to be our 5-year birthday here at News Talk.
Yeah, fun fact, we've been around for 5% of the nation's history.
That's right, we have.
And yes, I did do the math.
Yeah, and so, I mean, this is a huge deal. And what I naively hope, and I know that I'm going to end up looking and sounding stupid on this, but what's new, is that the America 250 is a complete just patriotic thing, and it doesn't matter whether you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, or anything else. But I'm not naive enough to think that's actually going to happen.
No, what this should absolutely what it should be is it should be a variety of acts coming together to play their music, to entertain people. People of all different varieties of Americans showing up to say, look, this is our nation. We've made it this long. It's going to be great. I can almost guarantee that that's not going to be the case. You're going to see a lot of social media posts whining and crying and whatever.
Yeah, because the Great America Fair, which they're actually putting the stages and everything together as we speak right now. They announced yesterday who basically the first set of headliners are. And I think Susie's right. I think we're going to get more announcements. But these are the Great American Fair is going to run from June 25th through July 10th. And so we have headliners up through July 3rd, which means there's probably another set of music acts that are going to be announced in the coming days. So the choices are interesting. Some of these make a lot of sense, but I'll put that question out, 314-912-1019, or send us a note on social media, the chat box on Rumble, the comments on Facebook, tweet at, whatever. Some of these make perfect sense. Some others, I'm like, I don't know. Okay, like for instance, the first performer at the Great American Fair from Freedom 250, Martina McBride. I get that. I totally get that. Iconic country music singer. I mean, I'm not really a modern country kind of guy, but I'd go see Martina McBride. Her song Independence Day is got just kind of legendary status. And, country music is about as American as you get,
Oh, yeah.
It's like good old rock and roll,
Yeah.
It's like,
jeans.
yeah, it's exactly. So, but then there are some choices on here. I'm like, I don't get this. This is a massive thing. There's going to be tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people in the audience. Did you guys just run out of budget for some of these? I mean, some of these probably wouldn't sell out. Del Mar Hall.
No.
Much less the pageant. Or the music park. So they're going to be headlining at probably the biggest series of concerts all year. I did not know that this is from the 90s. CNC Music Factory was still around. CNC Music Factory was a hit before you were born.
Yeah.
Like literally like 4 or 5 years before you were born.
Well, that's the interesting thing too right now is that, there are a lot of acts on there that I don't understand how they got on here. Unless they maybe made a donation to the ballroom. But like Flo Rida was very popular when I was in middle school. I mean, I liked some of his hits, but at the same time that when I think of America, I don't think where's Flo Rida?
No, I mean, and I don't. this may come across as sounding woke-ish or whatever, but it's not. But there should be a wide diversity
absolutely.
Of performers, music styles, and everything. Allison just put on there, said, hey, Dolly Parton.
Oh, of course.
Yes, I think she would be a perfect choice to be a part of this. But yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you a Flo Rida song. I couldn't tell you any of them. I have no idea, but he's not aimed at my generation. I get that. I know that he did the St. Louis 4th of July at Forest Park one year, and it was a freaking madhouse because that place is so packed. But I couldn't tell you anything about Flo Rida.
Well, and there are other rappers that are also currently relevant that do have very patriotic, not in the traditional sense of patriotism, but very pro-America songs. Like Tom McDonald has not been announced, and I know Susie earlier was saying, well, we don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there could be opening acts for. I'm sure there will be opening acts for all of these.
But these are the names that are supposed to draw you in, and that's what having background as a touring musician. This is how you build a bill for your acts. Is that you want to have names that are going to immediately be recognizable, but also set the tone for what you can expect. And Tom McDonald should have absolutely been over there instead of Flo Rida.
Yeah, see, and I don't know anything about Tom McDonald other than I've heard you talk about him, but that's what I've heard from other people. Caporio being on Rumble, Skillet saying the lead singer, which is John Cooper, says he's pretty based in his views. Yeah, he is. He is. Skillet would be because they've only got one rock act announced, and that's Bret Michaels, lead singer of Poison.
Oh, they have to get All That Remains then.
Well, there's a lot of great choices. I actually think Skillet would be a good choice. They've got a lot of popularity with mainstream, and you've got obviously the element of a Christian band there as well. There's nothing wrong with that. I think Skillet would be a good. I mean, they're pretty hard, but they're not scary.
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice. Vanilla Ice could not fill Delmar Hall.
Okay, but. One, he's somebody that has hits that even my generation knows about.
Yeah.
And two, I mean, I remember the American flag jacket that he used to wear with the little...
See, the thing is, do you remember that, or do you remember Jim Carrey's send-up of that?
I remember photos of it.
Yeah.
And Vanilla Ice has a very distinct look that's hard to mistake.
Oh,
so,
totally.
Yes, but,
yeah, totally.
So
but, I mean, as like the headliner for America's biggest celebration concert, Vanilla Ice, that's the best we could do for that day?
Yeah, I mean... has he even put out any recent hits?
Oh God, hits? No, not since he was like a three hit wonder. But Ice Ice Baby was so massive, and then he did like a rock metal album which flopped, and then I think he tried to do a Christian album which flopped. I mean, he's a one. He was an oddity. He was a one-trick pony. He was the first white rapper to have a #1 hit, and so he was a
Best
lightning.
ever do it.
Yeah, he was the lightning rod at the moment. I mean, in the Arsenio Hall era.
Okay, you might disagree entirely.
Okay,
Limp Bizkit needs to be put on the ballot somewhere or on the bill.
You think so?
2000s culture, height of that. There are so many videos of them performing at different military bases.
Yeah,
they are like iconic for what early 2000s Americana
You're
was.
starting to sell me on this, and I'm not a Limp Bizkit guy, but you're selling me on it.
It's just too iconic to pass up. Five Finger Death Punch, they're more like the hard rock metal. They're kind of more of like a Metallica of today, but very patriotic. A lot of songs for the troops, do a lot of work for them. I would love to see them on there.
Yeah. On June 26th, I am not making this up. And by the way, June 26th they've got 4, so this would be the whole show probably. CNC Music Factory, which had like 2 hit songs in the early 90s, including Gonna Make You Sweat. Milli Vanilli. What the heck?
It's just illy.
Milli Vanilli. Well, first of all, one of them's dead. Yeah. I don't know if it was Milli or Vanilli who died, but one of them's dead. Second, they didn't sing their songs. What? Why on earth would you put Milli Vanilli on there? The songs were sung by some really talented background music, like studio musicians, but I think it's like the guy who's left is going to be fronting us. They literally faked the whole thing. Why are we putting? I don't know if, like I said, I don't know if it's Vanilli or if it's Milli, but one of those. I don't know why they're doing that.
It's a weird choice.
Let's see here. Young MC was announced. Now, I've heard mixed things. I have heard that Young MC backed out when people gave him grief about being at a Trump party, which this should not be a Trump party, but I don't know if he's going to be there or not. And again, he had like 2 hits in the late 80s.
Yeah, I mean...
Going back to Cali, okay. Bust a Move. I mean, that was it. I
guess...
did know all the words to Bust a Move back in the day.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to bring it to karaoke sometime so you can perform that.
I don't know. I'd still know them, but I knew them back then.
Well, I mean...
Him and Tone Loc.
Oh, yeah, Tone Loc. Ooh. And then you have the it's like, so I'm guessing probably Green Day won't be there.
Oh, God, no.
I'm guessing Rage Against the Machine won't be there.
They shouldn't.
Probably not System of a Down.
No,
Bruce Springsteen. No.
You see, but I would actually, as much as I think Bruce Springsteen's an idiot at this point and an a-hole at this point, I think Bruce Springsteen would be a reasonable pick. You know, because his whole catalog up until he got stupid political was very Americana, very appealing to blue collar. John Mellencamp would be another idiot who would be a good choice. I think they would be good choices for this. It doesn't have to be just, you know, conservative or Trump supporters. I think there are some artists out there who are clearly leftist now who I think just their music and their history and their John Mellencamp has all kinds of Americana type of songs. I would not. How about like Willie Nelson?
Oh, Willie Nelson absolutely should be there.
Yeah. Let's see. I am surprised. I am shocked that Kid Rock was not announced on here.
That is actually one that I'm not even a big Kid Rock fan, but of all the people that I could immediately come to the top of my mind, I would have thought Kid Rock would have been one of the first.
He must. I wouldn't be surprised if there's still an announcement on that. But the Commodores, to go back to that classic R&B 70s and 80s, thumbs up. Great choice for with the Commodores.
Corporeal Being points out 50 Cent is a Republican now, so maybe.
Oh, is he? Okay.
Yeah. And I was thinking too. I mean, Nicki Minaj just had the whole like revitalizing. I'm a Christian now. I'm MAGA now. So
is she?
Yeah, So she maybe we'll see Nicki Minaj and 50 Cent in them.
Okay.
With Kid Rock.
All right. Well, there you go.
Now, that being said, though, we have one last time we got to take care of before the show ends today. And that is me calling for 80s Flashback Friday bump music requests.
Last call.
These are the MTV hits. It doesn't have to have been a great song. It just has to have been a song that you wanted them to play when you were watching MTV.
Okay, so I've been explaining this to Jerome. Go back in time to the 80s. For those of us who were there, go to your friend's house or go to your basement when the friends came over, and it's like you're watching MTV, because we would do that, Jerome. We would sit there, and the whole thing was to hang out and watch TV and eat pizza or whatever. And what was the song we were waiting? Okay, this song's almost done. I really want, okay, maybe next time. We would tune in like that to MTV back in the day, especially with me, like with Headbangers Ball.
And I'd also like to remind people that when we do Flashback Fridays, I will oftentimes take the video and put it on our stream on Rumble, X, Facebook, YouTube. So if you want to relive those memories and be able to enjoy it, just check out us on the stream and you'll be able to relive your favorite classic memories. But you have to send them to me, Jerome, at NewsTalkSTL.com, and let me know when you listen so you can hear your request.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at INHSTL.com. That's INHSTL.com.
Hanson's Tree Service at hansonstree.com is your one-stop shop for expert insured tree care and more in the greater St. Louis region and at the Lake of the Ozarks. Visit hansonstree.com for 24/7 emergency tree care, grinding and land clearing, awesome organic mulch, green resource recycling, and more. Tim Jones here to tell you that whether you're dealing with old man winter at your home or business in the St. Louis region or preparing your lake home for spring, call Hanson's to help you out. No job too big or too small. Mention News Talk STL. Receive 10% off all tree care services. hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
This
This is Kirk Hilsinger, chairman of the St. Louis City Republican Party. Connect with us at stl-gop.com. Now it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Did I do something to offend you?
You thought you were safe.
I get this look from Jerome. I'm like, what's about to happen? And then I hear this god-awful song.
This amazing. This they should be performing. Chumbawamba should be at this festival.
James on Facebook says, why isn't Lee Greenwood on the list? That's a darn good question. I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up on the list at some point. Well, or he will be performing at some like opening ceremony or something like that.
And Straight Up said that according to AI, Kid Rock is being listed as one of the performers that will be there.
Okay, so as of this morning on the actual Freedom 250, because I printed up the list from their website, it wasn't there at 4:45 this morning. But I will be shocked if Kid Rock is not there, if nothing else, because of how supportive he is of President Trump.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I would. If I were a betting man, I would bet that he's going to be featured in one of these, maybe because this list only went up to July 3rd. We don't even have the actual July 4th one.
Oh,
so that will be a whole different thing. All right, okay, 8:51 right now. All right, the ceasefire. We have to change the definition of ceasefire to accept that this is a ceasefire.
I think we need to change the definition of war as well.
Really, and also just to recap, the new map, congressional map in Missouri, it stays in place this year. I got to tell you why. And Cardinals trying to kind of reset as they prepare for the Cubs to come into town. 8:52 now. Let's go ahead and do one more news dump.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by Lee May Concrete and Block.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Chumbawamba. Good God. All right. It's such an earworm. It's such an awful song. Oh, my goodness. It was like the first time you heard it, it's like, hey, that's really catchy. And then it's like, okay, that's enough.
No.
It's apparently not enough.
You can never have enough.
All right. U.S. military forces shot down several Iranian drones, and they hit a ground control station on Wednesday. The Iranian vessels are believed to have been a threat to traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. We're getting more details with every passing hour at this point. Also, the president having a cabinet meeting addressing the war in Iran, and he still says that Iran is desperate for a deal. He basically says his words are that they are negotiating on fumes at this point. Here's part of what the president had to say.
It looks like they want to just make a deal. They want to. They have. I don't think they have a choice. They're just going back to the internet because they're getting clobbered. Their economy is in free fall. They have 250% inflation. Their money has no value. Their whole economic system is broken down.
And, of course, Iran is saying something completely different, and the president is saying, well, that's just what they're saying to the public, and in reality, they're about to cave in and make a deal to end the war. Of course, we've been hearing that for weeks, if not months now.
Literally 2 months now. They've been, quote-unquote, begging for a deal.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so far, we're not seeing any evidence of that at this point. Okay, a key part of the battle over the new congressional districts in Missouri is now over. Okay, basically, the legal challenges to the map, over. The Missouri Supreme Court on Wednesday ruled against the NAACP. They were challenging the legality of the special session that resulted in the new map being passed last September. So the new map, as you know, gerrymanders an additional seat in the U.S. House for Republicans by splitting up the Democratic-heavy 5th District in the Kansas City area. Opponents of the new map, though, are hoping voters will essentially veto the new map with a referendum that likely is going to be put on the November ballot. If you want to hear our discussion about that with Missouri Secretary of State Denny Hoskins, that's going to be posted on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning podcast here in just
30 minutes or so.
Another 30 minutes or so. All right. A U.S. House Republican introduces a constitutional amendment that says judges and members of Congress are limited to natural-born U.S. citizens, not just citizens, but natural-born ones. Here's the report on this from Bernie Bennett in Washington, D.C.
South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace proposes a constitutional amendment prohibiting naturalized citizens from serving in Congress, becoming federal judges, or holding Senate-confirmed positions. In a Wednesday statement shared on X, Mace said she introduced a long-overdue joint resolution for the constitutional amendment, noting, quote, "This is the very same standard the president and vice president are required to meet." Mace, who's running for governor in South Carolina, suggests that U.S. officials born in other countries could have split loyalties. Bernie Bennett in Washington.
Now, this is not going to happen. I don't think we will ever see another amendment to the U.S. Constitution passed. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Well, yeah, because we have got too many people in the country that don't like the country that they're currently living in. I mean, it's this should be just a common sense no-brainer, in my opinion, at least. I know probably you disagree a little bit, but
I get where you're coming from on it. Some of the most patriotic people I know are people who had to do the work and fought and really wanted to leave behind wherever they left. The problem is not that many people do. We don't make it hard enough to get here and then to be a citizen. So I understand what Nancy Mace is saying, and I get where you're coming from. I'm not faulting the logic. I just kind of have mixed feelings on it.
No, absolutely. I mean, and I'm not doubting the patriotism of the hard work. I've met similar types of people as well. It's just, I guess the unfortunate thing is that they don't often run for political office.
Right.
It's the ones like Yaya Paul and Shri Thaindar and Ilhan Omar and Mom Dami and all these other people that want to run here, and then they want to fundamentally change things, and it's just, why come here and do that?
Yeah, I mean, if you love where you're at, then stay where you're at. And if you want to import that here, well, that's basically conquering through the political process.
Exactly.
But there are so many people that I've known over my life who were born somewhere else and every bit as patriotic as the rest of us. And you ask them who they are, they'll say, I'm an American.
Yeah.
So I just...
I've told you, my immigration policy is let's switch out the leftists for some of the people that want to be here that actually care about being here.
All right, the Cardinals get swept by the first-place Brewers, but the Cardinals do barely hang on to second place in the division, at least as of right now. The final score in Milwaukee was 2-1, despite, this sucks. Dustin May had a no-hitter going into the 8th inning.
Wow.
Ended up getting the loss on the game because the Brewers scored 2 runs in that inning. Redbirds are off today. They start a series with the Cubs at home on Friday. Cardinals have now lost 7 of their last 9 games, but they're still in second place. And the Cubs finally won 1 game after like 10 losses. So the Cardinals really need a good showing this weekend. Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work, but there's one thing you